Are you all sure about this? Ling Chen looked at the three girls. Xiao Qi vigorously nodded her head, and raised a small fist. Big sister Meng Xian is right. We're all guild members of Heart's Dream, so we can't not contribute, and just be a burden to big brother Ling Tian. So, from now on, we're going to train by ourselves, find our own equipment and do our own quests. Big brother Ling Tian and big sister Mu should go and do their own training as well and not worry about us. With big brother Ling Tian and big sister Mu, our Heart's Dream will one day become super famous. We definitely won't become a burden to you guys and work hard as well. Big brother Ling Tian, big sister Mu, we will do our best. Su'er earnestly said. Ling Chen smiled, since it's like this, then that's fine. However, if there's any urgent matters, or if you're in any kind of danger, make sure you let me know. Got it. But we definitely won't be that easy to bully. Just like that, under Meng Xian's decision, the three girls stopped following Ling Tian to train. They decided that they would return to Azure Dragon City. Having reached LV13, they were not in a hurry to level up, and so decided to spend some time exploring Azure Dragon City. At the same time, they would discuss some future plans for Heart's Dream. Bing Yao, you should go with them too. If something happens, let me know immediately. Mu Bingyao nodded, and walked in the direction that Yun Meng Xian and the others had left in. The Red-Eyed Lizard territory was a place where most players at the current stage would not dare to enter yet, so Ling Chen was the only person there. With 4 beautiful girls accompanying him, nothing seemed boring. However, looking at the ground covered in red-eyed lizards, Ling Chen did not feel too happy. Maybe I was a bit unwilling to let them go. Ling Chen muttered to himself. Just a bit, I guess. In the distance, Shi Ling was still using her flames to roast mobs of red-eyed lizards. Below her, Xiao Hui ran around happily, swallowing the corpses. As Ling Chen was now the only person absorbing the EXP, leveling up was much, much faster. However, to the Ling Chen who enjoyed situations filled with danger and adrenaline, receiving free EXP from doing nothing was nice, but it was not the method he preferred. Qi Yu had said that if he wanted to find all the God Orbs and Saint Orbs, the best method was to explore every corner of the Forgotten Continent. There were no shortcuts in finding these treasures. In that case, might as well start from these plains. Ling Chen was just about to call Shi Ling and Xiao Hui back, when an announcement rang out. Ding! Your pet, Shi Ling, has leveled up, now LV10, ding, your pet Shi Ling's ability, Rootless Fire, has leveled up to LV2, Wild Flames, has leveled up to LV6, Red Laser, has leveled up to LV6. All of a sudden, Shi Ling had already reached LV10. Ling Chen opened Shi Ling's stats page. The LV10 Shi Ling had an incredible 6,000 magic attack power. This number caused Ling Chen to feel dizzy. What this number meant, was that Shi Ling's wild flames could do tens of thousands of damage, and one red laser could do over 30,000 damage. Could this be any more broken? However, her HP was still quite low. At LV10, she only had 800 HP compared to her 6,000 magic attack power and 20,000 mana. It seemed quite pitiful. Even her physical defense was practically non-existent. Having reached LV10, 3 of Shi Ling's skills were automatically upgraded. Ling Chen looked over to the 3 skills. Rootless Fire, current level, LV2, highest level, LV5, increasing to LV3 requires pet to be LV20. Passive ability, Manipulated Power is created from its soul, and does not require natural flames to create extreme flames. Will ignore any creature's resistance to flame, its power is stronger than regular flames. Effect, disregard any fire resistance, use of any fire magic doesn't require an incantation. PS, does not ignore elemental weaknesses to fire. Which is to say, if the monster weak against fire, the fire will still deal the appropriate extra amount of damage. All fire damage increases by 10%, and any fire attack can be imbued with a slight destruction status effect, causes a medium destruction effect to objects weak against fire. Wild Flames, current level, LV6, highest level, LV10, increasing to level 7 requires pet to be LV20. Burns all targets within 30 m in front with Rootless Flame, deals 220% of the magic attack stat, 30% chance of dealing an addition 10-second burn, cost 300 mana, 5-second cooldown. Red Laser, current level, LV6, highest level, LV10, increasing to LV7 requires pet to be LV20. Using the Rootless Fire to gather the sun's searing rays, creating a terrible high heat laser that attacks a single target from the sky, dealing 550% damage. Once locked on, the target cannot avoid it. Costs 600 mana, 10-second cooldown. The upgraded Wild Flames and Red Laser became slightly stronger, but the Rootless Fire that had leveled up to LV2 caused Ling Chen to stare in awe. Shi Ling's attacks were already incredibly strong, and now all fire damage would be increased by 10%. What truly intrigued him was the destruction status effect. These few words caused Ling Chen to imagine many possibilities. Closing Shi Ling's stats page, another announcement rang out. Ding, your bag space is now full. You are unable to store more items, please clear space in your bag. Ling Chen paused, his bag had an emptying rock that he had bought from the underworld merchant Qian Gun, which could increase his bag space by 300. That meant all 500 spaces in his bag were full. Ling Chen looked over and saw Xiao Hui was running in circles around a mountain of things, but could not pick them up. Ling Chen checked his bag, and was almost blinded by the number of sparkling red crystals. Lots and lots of elementary strength crystals. He quickly calculated, the number of elementary strength crystals in his bag was over 30,000. This astonishing number caused Ling Chen to grin like a fool. Including the numerous pale white and iron equipment, elementary crystals, various potions, lizard scales that the red-eyed lizards dropped, all 500 spaces in his bag were completely full. Lizard scales could be traded to the item store for a relatively large amount of gold, but their worth and those of the 30,000 elementary strength crystals could not even be compared. 30,000 elementary crystals, if sold to the pawn shop for 80 gold each, could be sold for 2.4 million gold. If he calculated according to the 150 gold per crystal at the delivery store, if they were all sold out, he would earn 4.5 million gold. I'm rich, filthy rich. Ling Chen was extremely delighted. In 3 days, from the efforts of just Shi Ling and Xiao Hui, he had acquired items worth millions of gold. This was simply too broken. Ling Chen wondered whether or not the Cosmos Corporation would do anything about this if they found out. He immediately called back Shi Ling and Xiao Hui, and used a teleport scroll to teleport to Azure Dragon City. Standing at the Azure Dragon City Central Square, Ling Chen thought for a while, and went first to the pawnshop at the market. The owner of the pawnshop was a skinny old man who was very stingy. Walking up to the counter, Ling Chen poured all of the useless items from his bag onto the counter, pale white equipment, iron equipment, lizard scales. Selling all of them. The tens of thousands of lizard scales and tens of equipment netted him 2,000 gold in total. Afterwards, using his fastest speed, Ling Chen quickly transferred all 30,000 of his elementary strength crystals into the trading box. At that moment, the face of the pawn shop's owner became completely pale, as if he had seen a ghost. After staring for 10 seconds did he commence the trade. The 30,000 elementary strength crystals had been given to the pawn shop to sell, while he pocketed 4.5 million gold. 4.5 million gold, at the current stage of a game, was an incredible and ridiculous amount of money. And this enormous fortune had all come from Xiao Hui. Xiao Hui could use the red-eyed lizard's corpses to create elementary strength crystals. That meant that as long as he took Xiling and Xiao Hui to the red-eyed lizard territory, and lay around for a while, then gold would flow into his pockets like water. One attack pet, one support pet, these two pets together were simply a no cost, no risk, high return money-making machine. Having become Mystic Moon's first millionaire player, there were many things that Ling Chen wanted to do, but what he wanted to do most was naturally to meet the underworld merchant Qian Gun Gun. Got it. After this short exchange, Ling Chen turned off the communication device, and strode forwards. Walking on the streets of Azure Dragon City, he walked from the markets to the entertainment district, to the administration district, to the residential district. By the time it was 2 to 3 a.m., he had walked around and carefully observed the central areas in Azure Dragon City. He imprinted a place into his memory, then took out the Azure Dragon City map, and marked its position on the map. As he closed the map, a light flickered in his eyes. Afterwards, Ling Chen began to walk directly to the mayor's residence. The mayor's residence and the area surrounding it was still a restricted area for players. However, as Ling Chen had a special pass, he was able to enter unhindered, and directly entered into the reception hall. Not too long after, the Azure Dragon's mayor strode in. The current Azure Dragon's mayor had undergone drastic changes. His face was ruddy and full of health, and had a spring in his step. Evidently, he was in a very good mood. Ling Chen smiled and asked, "Mr. Mayor, how is your son?" "Ha ha ha." The Azure Dragon's mayor let out a cheerful laugh. "The flaming black grass is as effective as described in the legends. After giving some to my son to take, half of the snake poison was dispelled within 1 day, and was fully dispelled within 2 days. Although he hasn't made a full recovery yet, that's in the foreseeable future, so I'm not worrying about it anymore. Ling Tian, this is all thanks to you. Otherwise, my son would have lost his life a long time ago. Do you have anything you need my help with?" If there's anything, just let me know. As long as it doesn't violate any ethics or morals, I will help you as much as possible." Hearing the Azure Dragon's mayor say this, Ling Chen did not beat around this bush anymore, and straightforwardly said, "Since Mr. Mayor has said so, then I won't be courteous anymore. The reason I came this time is to ask a big favor of Mr. Mayor." Ling Chen walked forwards and stood in front of the Azure Dragon's mayor. He opened the Azure Dragon City map, and pointed at a location he had marked. "I want the ownership rights to this area of land. I only need it for half a year." The place Ling Chen had pointed to was a spacious undeveloped area. It was a long plot of land, and was about 4,000 or 5,000 square meters. Not only was it extremely large, but the location was very good as well. The Azure Dragon City's market was situated at the west side of the central square, whereas this plot of land was on the east side of and right next to the central square. Why such a good area of land was empty, Ling Chen had no idea, and did not care. He only knew that once the money exchange system opened, and power started flowing in along with money, this plot of land would become a place that would be fought over. Such a good location, with such a large area, even offering millions of gold was impossible to buy it. As such, Ling Chen could only use the gold he currently had to rent it for a short period of time. The Azure Dragon's mayor looked at the location where Ling Chen had pointed to, and shook his head after a short while. "Ling Chen, it's not that I don't want to help you, it's just that this area is our Azure Dragon City's last prime area. Every inch of land is worth gold. No, every inch of land there is worth diamonds. We were planning to construct a luxury residential area, and then sell each house or unit for astronomical prices. I only need the ownership rights for half a year." Ling Chen repeated. "Choosing this place, you should already know that this area is extremely valuable, even if it's for half a year. 1 million gold. 1 million? The Azure Dragon's mayor stared at Ling Chen, then started cursing at him. "This area is directly facing the central square, Azure Dragon City's last prime area. 1 million gold? Are you joking?" Ling Chen knew that even if it was for half a year, 1 million gold was far from enough. He thought for a moment, then continued to test the waters. How about 1.3 million, no. 1.5 million gold. 5 months of ownership rights. Absolutely not. 2 million, 3 months. Ling Chen gnashed his teeth. Bam! The Azure Dragon's mayor pounded his fist onto the table. Deal. Ling Chen. Half an hour later, Ling Chen walked out of the mayor's residence with a title deed bought with 2 million gold. The title deed clearly stated that the area of land was Ling Chen's for 3 months. 3 months, so be it. Ling Chen was not worried in the slightest. With Xiao Hui and Shi Ling, that money-making pair, sooner or later that entire piece of land will be mine. Plus, with 3 months, that's entirely enough time. Heh. Azure Dragon City Auction House. The Azure Dragon City Auction House was only open to players, and auctioned various items sent in by players. Although many players had entered into the Azure Dragon City, the auction house had never held an auction yet. It was not easy listening to the man ramble on and on. Ling Chen took a step forward and took out 3 items. There are 3 things I want to auction, not sure if these 3 things are satisfactory for auctioning. Ling Chen took out a grubby black bean, a gold chain and a black token. These 3 items caused Lord Fortune's old eyes to brighten. He reached out and picked up the grubby black bean which looked like sheep dung. He sniffed it to confirm that it wasn't sheep dung, then examined its attributes. This was the sheep dung that Ling Chen had bought from the underworld merchant Qian Gun Gun. No, it was a mysterious bean that could give the user 100 SP. He had originally wanted to give this to Shui Ruo to eat, in order to upgrade her skills, but after considering that it was an object of suspicious origins, and had been tainted by Qian Gun Gun's grubby hands, he was not quite willing for the pure Ruo to be dirted by such a thing, so he could only auction it off. Gives the user 100 SP. Heavens! What am I looking at? I'm actually looking at an item of the legends. Holding the grubby black bean, the originally bored and lackluster Lord Fortune let out a passionate cry. To an adventurer, this is a priceless treasure. Young man, can you tell me where you bought it from? Ling Chen. Oh, please excuse my rudeness. Ling Chen's expression caused Lord Fortune to come back to his senses, and he quickly regained his composure. Seeing such a legendary item, I actually forgot the "do not ask the origins of an item" rule. Young man, rest assured, when your items are auctioned, I will not ask you any unnecessary questions, and keep your identity strictly confidential. That means, this bean is satisfactory for auctioning? Ling Chen asked while smiling. Lord Fortune nodded, absolutely, absolutely. Not only you players, all experts in the Forgotten Continent would be excited by such an item. Describing it as a priceless treasure would not be an exaggeration at all. This item, we're definitely auctioning. Because of this bean, Lord Fortune became more interested in the other 2 items. He picked up the gold bracelet, and looked over it. All of a sudden, his eyes became extremely wide, stood up with a whoosh, gold. Gold-grade lunar chain. Young man. Lord Fortune intensely stared at him, gripping the gold chain that Ling Chen had acquired from the greedy giant toad. Do you know the value of a gold lunar chain? A gold lunar chain is much more valuable than any other equipment of the gold grade. A gold lunar chain can be used by an expert for their entire life, and is something that many experts can only dream of but can never acquire in their entire life. Young man, you're simply too amazing. You've come here for such a short period of time, and yet you've already acquired a gold lunar chain. I can already tell that this gold lunar chain appearing at an auction will cause a great sensation. Trust me, this is definitely the first gold lunar chain to be discovered by a player. The drop rate of high-grade lunar chains is too low, way too low. Are you sure you want to auction this? Lord Fortune put the token down, and looked at Ling Chen as he frowned. Yes. Ling Chen nodded. You should be very clear as to how much this is worth, especially since this is the first of its kind. For the same item, the first will be worth much, much more than the second one. If I were you, even if I could sell it for a huge amount of money, I would not sell it. If you use it, then even if you were unknown in the past, your fame would travel throughout the entire land, helping your development in future. Lord Fortune said in a sincere tone. Ling Chen gave a casual smile. Even so, I still want to auction it. Selling it for a large amount of money will benefit me more. I trust that Lord Fortune, having run this auction house for so many years, will definitely fetch a high price for this item. Lord Fortune looked at Ling Chen seriously. Even if he was an idiot, he should know that someone who is able to take out such an item, and a player at that, is definitely not a normal person. He nodded, and put the items away and said, since it's like that, I won't say anything unnecessary. We will accept all of these items. Furthermore, you can choose the auction time, and we will not take any commission. Although this was Azure Dragon City's central auction house, as well as the largest auction house in Azure Dragon City, it was still able to be pressured by the other auction houses. As the strength of all the players grew, there would be much competition between the different auction houses, especially those established by players. In order for an auction house to increase its fame and reputation, it must auction items that attract the attention of players. The difference in fame and reputation between an auction house that regularly auctioned ordinary items and an auction house that auctioned rare and valuable items could not even be compared. Naturally, the revenue earned from entrance fees could not be compared either. Lord Fortune, by waiving any commission earned on Ling Chen's items, was definitely not making a loss. He believed that all three items would each be able to cause a great sensation among all players. Then it's settled. I haven't decided on the auction date, so I'll tell you when I've decided. It'll be within 5 days. Ling Chen said. Lord Fortune nodded and put the 3 items away, then gave Ling Chen a certificate of receipt. Ling Chen scanned through the certificate, then walked out of the central auction house. Big brother, I'm nearly LV8 already. I've been killing LV10 monsters with these 2 big sisters, so leveling is really fast. After walking out of the auction house, Shui Ruo's voice sounded out in Ling Chen's ears. It was now dawn. Before, Ling Chen absolutely would not have agreed to Shui Ruo being online at such a time, but Shui Ruo's mental state had considerably improved. After playing for a whole day, she did not seem tired at all, and had demanded to play for longer hours. That way, she would be able to quickly enter Azure Dragon City to be with Ling Chen. Since it was Shui Ruo's request, he definitely could not refuse. Good work, although, if you're feeling tired at all, you must log off and rest, alright? Ling Chen reminded her. Got it. Oh, and those 2 big sisters are so strong even when they are surrounded by so many monsters, they don't get hit at all. I haven't used my healing skills in such a long time. Ling Chen gave a slight smile. Yao Ying and Qian Mo, if they were so easily hit, they would not be worthy to be called the absolute shadow double beauties. Now that Shui Ruo was nearly LV8, with Yao Ying and Qian Mo's efficiency, factoring in the time Shui Ruo spent online every day, it would take them about 2 or 3 days to help Shui Ruo leave Novice Village. After 2 or 3 days, he would be able to take Shui Ruo and roam around with virtual world with her, train with her, do quests with her, kill monsters with her, explore with her and go anywhere they wanted. Thinking about this, Ling Chen began to smile. In that case, these few days spent waiting for Ruo Ruo, he might as well train. Ling Chen walked out of Azure Dragon City, and walked towards the depths of the plains. The lowest leveled monsters in the plains were LV10, and highest were LV25. Passing through the red-eyed lizard territory, then walking onwards for a long time, Ling Chen came to mid-eastern region of the plains, the LV20 tiger territory. Tiger, type, beast, level, LV20, HP, 820, a type of ferocious wild beast. It has long fangs, extremely large and sharp claws, and is both strong and fast. A fairly dangerous type of beast. Passive ability, attack power and speed are both very high. Its attacks have a 3% chance of causing the victim to bleed, resulting in damage over time for 5 seconds. Victim loses 30 HP per second. Attack skills, leaping bite, uses its body to leap at an enemy, and can easily knock its target to the ground, after which it lethally rips and bites the enemy to death. Well, let's train here. With Shi Ling, his leveling speed was many times faster than other people's. However, if he leveled up too quickly, it would arouse the suspicion of other people, which is something Ling Chen took into account. With the Heaven's Jealousy debuff, then factoring in the fact that he only played for half the amount of time everyone else did, farming in a LV20 area meant that he would not be too far ahead of the other players. Go, Shi Ling, Xiao Hui. After being called out, Shi Ling and Xiao Hui rushed forwards. As Shi Ling's first, Wild Flames, landed, a large group of tigers began to pitifully cry out. With their measly 800 or so HP, they could do nothing in the face of Shi Ling's overwhelming destructive attacks. On the other hand, Ling Chen was calmly lying on the grass with his hands behind his head. The items dropped from the tigers were all picked up by Xiao Hui, and he would also absorb their corpses. While Shi Ling was raising and destroying mobs of tigers, Xiao Hui was also busily devouring mobs of corpses. It was the same as devouring the red-eyed lizards. Xiao Hui also devoured 5 tiger corpses at a time. After a short while, Ling Chen opened his bag, and looked at the items that Xiao Hui had refined. Tiger Heart Core, a core created from the energy of tigers. After usage the user will receive plus 50 attack power for 10 minutes. Ling Chen breathed out in awe. 50 attack power was equivalent to the attack bonus from a LV10 gold equip, and lasted for 10 minutes, which was not a short period of time at all. Although it was a consumable item, Ling Chen believed that it definitely would not be worth any less than the elementary strength crystals. Although so far Xiao Hui usually only had the chance to absorb low-level creatures, but the items he refined were incredibly shocking. Ling Chen was very pleased as he closed his bag, and took out the map of the Forgotten Continent that he had bought from Qian Gun Gun, which he then carefully looked at. As time passed, his EXP bar was quickly filling, and the number of Tiger Heart cores in his bag unceasingly increased. One day later. Ding! Congratulations, you have leveled up, now LV15, HP plus 20, MP plus 10, Strength plus 5. Ding! Congratulations, your pet Holy Spirit Beast Xiao Hui has leveled up, now LV15, HP plus 200, Mana plus 5, Defense plus 20. Ding! Congratulations, your pet Crimson Spirit has leveled up, now LV13, HP plus 40, Mana plus 1000. Physical attack power plus 10, magic attack power plus 300. Ding! Your pet Holy Divine Beast's passive ability, Holy Spirit's Aura, has leveled up to LV4. Holy Spirit's Aura, current level, LV4, highest level, LV20, level required to upgrade to LV5, LV20, using its Holy Spirit Aura that is void of evil and impurity to seek the protection of Mother Nature, upgrades the innate gifts of itself and all companions. Effect, Luck plus 4 and Comprehension plus 4 of itself along with the Master and all pet companions. Effect exists even while not summoned. As mobs of tigers became corpses, Ling Chen had finally reached LV15. The Xiao Hui who had long since had enough EXP to level up to LV15 finally reached LV15 as well, and his Holy Spirit's Aura leveled up to LV4. Ling Chen's Luck and Comprehension had both reached 10 points. 10 points was the maximum number of points a player could choose to put into either Luck or Comprehension, and yet he had 10 points for both. Phew, finally reached LV15. Ling Chen took his eyes off the Forgotten Continent map. The map of the Forgotten Continent was simply too vast, and Qian Gun Gun's map was especially detailed. If Ling Chen wanted to thoroughly go through the entire map, it would take him 2 to 3 days. At this moment, a loud system announcement sound rang out. Ding! China server announcement. The first person in the China region to reach LV15 has appeared. The China region player level rankings and fame rankings will now be revealed. After a short moment, players will be able to view the China region player level rankings and fame rankings. The next announcement only sounded out in Ling Chen's ears. Ding! Your current level is LV15, and ranks as number 1 on the China player level rankings. Do you wish to hide your personal information from the rankings? No need, Ling Chen immediately said. Before, Shao Qi had mentioned that the player rankings would be released when a player reached LV15, and it turned out that was true. Ding! You currently have 6,823 fame points, and rank as number 1 on the China region fame rankings. Do you wish to hide your personal information from the rankings? No need. The news of China's first LV15 player sent waves across the entire country. No matter if it was normal players or the super experts who stood at the peak of all other players, they all silently looked at their own levels, and could scarcely believe that someone had already reached LV15. Who was so logic-defying that he had already reached LV15? It had to be said that before that moment, there was only one person in the whole world who had reached LV15, and thus only one region had released the player rankings, the female player in the America region who was called God, Eve. No one was surprised to see that she had taken this glory. The second person to reach LV15 had actually come from China. People all thought of one person, the first person in the entire world to walk out of Novice Village, Ling Tian. Rank 1, Ling Tian, Level 15, Occupation, Ling Tian Battle Soul, Affiliation, None. Rank 2, Feng Xiaoyu, Level 14, Occupation, Blade Spirit, Affiliation, None. Rank 3, Skyfall, Level 14, Occupation, Summoner, Affiliation, None. Rank 4, Tsang Yen, Level 13, Occupation, Fire Mage, Affiliation, None. Rank 5, Mu Bingyao, Level 13, Occupation, Assassin, Affiliation, None. Rank 6, Against Heaven, Level 13, Occupation, Warrior, Affiliation, None. Rank 7, Winter of that Year, Level 13, Occupation, Archer, Affiliation, None. Rank 8, Shao Qiu Feng, Level 13, Occupation, Warrior, Affiliation, None. Rank 9, Lu Yunfei Shui, Level 13, Occupation, Lightning Mage, Affiliation, None. Rank 10, Guiye, Level 13, Occupation, Assassin, Affiliation, None. The player level rankings are not the same as their strength rankings, especially this early in the game, as it is very hard for any player to distinguish him/herself from the pack. In fact, the overall positions on the list are constantly changing. Rank 1 is Ling Chen, the only level 15 in China, and rank 2 and 3 are Feng Xiaoyu and Skyfall, the only two people that had attained level 14. Yan Huang Alliance's Sword Emperor, Feng Xiaoyu, and Skyfall Dynasty's number 1 leader, the head of the 3 Heavenly Kings, Apocalypse Judge, Skyfall. Ling Chen stared at Feng Xiaoyu's name for a number of seconds, frowning. Blade Spirit, such an unconventional occupation. He had even received a hidden profession in the short time since the beginning of the game. This Sword Emperor is indeed remarkable, perhaps even stronger than expected. Ling Chen looked at the first 10 ranks before closing the rankings and checking the fame rankings. Fame rankings, Rank 1, Ling Tian, Fame points, 6823, Affiliation, None. Rank 2, Long Tian Yun, Fame points, 924, Affiliation, None. Rank 3, Feng Xiaoyu, Fame points, 899, Affiliation, None. Rank 4, Skyfall, Fame points, 858, Affiliation, None. Rank 5, Guiye, Fame points, 850, affiliation, none. On the fame rankings, Ling Chen's points far exceeded the others, placing him like a king at the top of the list. In the top 5, Ling Chen saw Long Tianyun's name, who was known to value fame above strength, as there were 2 prerequisites to establishing a guild, having a guild token and having over 1,000 fame. To be the first person to create the Yan Huang Alliance in Mystic Moon, the guild leaders needed to spend all their energy collecting fame points. Therefore, Long Tianyun and Skyfall ranked within the top 5 in fame. Looking at the first of the player rankings, the Chinese player base was unsurprised. Ling Tian was the first to enter Azure Dragon City by a few days, and moreover, was carrying 2 celestial grade items, as well as the 2 highest ranking pets. What they were shocked by, however, were the first and second ranked occupations, Ling Tian Battle Soul and Blade Spirit, which were both unfamiliar to all. As far as the player base could remember, only the Sword Emperor had acquired a hidden profession this early in the game. Moreover, the hidden profession had to have something to do with a sword and was something only the Sword Emperor could have. But now, in addition to the Sword Emperor, Ling Tian could as well. He too had a hidden profession, but his level and fame points both exceeded that of Feng Xiayun. The legend of the Sword Emperor, had it really been dispelled? When the fame rankings were released, the fame points of the first ranking player made everyone gasp. A value of nearly 7,000, more than 7 times the second ranking player, Long Tianyun. Fame points can only be gained by completing tasks, as well as killing fairies and bosses. The world of Mystic Moon had only opened for more than 10 days, so obtaining a few hundred points would have already been considered as remarkable, but to amass 7,000 was unheard of. In the corner of some plains, all the players were evacuated from the monster's territory and stood in the safe zone according to each of the major occupations. Although their formation appeared to be scattered, in reality they were in a strong defensive position. Every player was looking in all directions for movement in the surrounding area, sometimes focusing on the person in the middle. It looked as if he was a supreme god. Long Tianyun was staring coldly ahead. He had been standing there for quite some time now. Carefully looking over the top 100 player rankings again, he saw many familiar names on the list. However, there were also many strange names. His eyes were now fixed on the first place of the fame rankings, locked onto the digital numbers, 6,823. After a long time, he narrowed his eyes, and expressionlessly said, "This person has gained my attention." Ranking higher than Xiaoyu, and even having a hidden profession, it appears that he has even named it after himself. Here I thought only Xiaoyu could do that. Then there's the matter of his fame points. This guy, what kind of otherworldly boss did he kill? Or perhaps he completed a difficult heavenly task. There's simply no way he could have achieved this. This alone is enough to prove that his strength is extraordinary, and that he wasn't just extremely lucky. Lord, we are already focusing all our resources to find his identity. We are confident that the results will be in soon, a person standing near Long Tianyun said. Don't worry over this matter. Long Tianyun raised his hand, and coolly said, based on how he is acting currently, he has not tried to hide any of his intentions. In this case, I believe it won't be long, before his identity will appear on its own. Try to track him down, and then ask if he has any interest in joining the Yan Huang Alliance. Remember, if you meet him, be as friendly as possible. Even if he refuses to join my Yan Huang Alliance, do not quarrel with him. Yes, my lord. TLN, also, inform Xiaoyu, ask if he has any interest towards this person. If he does, I can use those 2 to design a spectacular battle. Closing the fame rankings, Long Tianyun gazed into the distance and slowly spoke. I'll notify the Sword Emperor of this, but I am certain that Ling Tian will be no match for him. The Sword Emperor is invincible. As he said this, his eyes flashed with a hint of fear. Wow! You're too good. Ling Tian, big brother, you topped both rankings. Oh yeah. I was ranked 43rd on the player ranking. it totally gave my brother a shock. Big sister Meng Xian ranked 17th, Su Su ranked 49th, and super strong big sister Mu Bing ranked 5th. All the members of Heart's Dream are ranked within the top 50, and 2 of us are in the top 10. This is great. This was something that previously only the Yan Huang Alliance and Skyfall Dynasty could do. It was good that we spent most of yesterday and today in the Azure Dragon City, otherwise, we would have all gotten within the top 10, which would draw too much attention. We aren't exactly very strong, at least for now. This was Yun Meng Xian's voice. When she saw Ling Tian's ranking, she wasn't surprised, but when she saw his fame points, she too was shocked. Big brother Ling Tian, keep going strong. We'll keep trying our best too. This was Suer's voice. The 3 girls excitedly talked for almost half a day, while Ling Chen temporarily stopped leveling and returned Shi Ling and Xiao Hui. It did not take much to figure out that he had once again become the conversational topic of all the players. His fame was unbelievable, being the first out of the novice village, the first to attain a celestial equip, and the first to get a pet, unlocking the pet rankings. He had also killed a LV-10 boss and a LV-15 celestial boss, among a multitude of other big and small bosses. The fame points that he had received in the process were far greater than any other player. Ling Chen returned to the Azure Dragon City to clean up his inventory, selling his Tiger Heart cores for 20 gold each at the pawn shop. The Tiger Heart cores were like treasure to other players, but worthless to him because he had collected so many. None of this bothered him in the slightest, however. After clearing out his backpack, he would return once again to clearing out patches of the poor tigers in their territory. Before Shui Ruo left the novice village, Ling Chen was preparing to spend all his time leveling. Finally, on one sunny morning. Big brother. Big brother. I'm finally LV-10. I'm so happy. I immediately left for the Azure Dragon City with the 2 older sisters. Wait for me. Ling Chen jumped up from the grass, and couldn't help but smile. He had eagerly been awaiting the arrival of this day. Shi Ling, Xiao Hui, let's go. Time to meet your female master. Ling Chen smiled as he returned Shi Ling and Xiao Hui, whereupon raising his hand, a halo suddenly floated above his head. Ding, congratulations on leveling up, now level 16, HP plus 20, Magic plus 10, Strength plus 5. Ding, your pet, Holy Divine Beast, has leveled up, now level 16, Ling Chen was slightly amused. While Shi Ling and Xiao Hui were working hard, he had been studying the map of the Forgotten Continent, wanting to completely memorize it. Without knowing it, his LV-15 EXP bar had been filled. Now at level 16, his SP was 1380. Ling Chen returned Shi Ling and Xiao Pet Dimension, and then made his way back to the Azure Dragon City, waiting for Shui Ruo's arrival. Ling Chen didn't have to wait long. It was only 10 minutes later that he spotted a beautiful figure approaching as he stood beside the resurrection stone. The Azure Dragon Square was always bustling with crowds of people, but when Shui Ruo, wearing a cute butterfly mask, walked into the city, Ling Chen immediately recognized her. After all, he was all too familiar with Shui Ruo and would have been able to pick her out from among the sea of faces, even if there were 10 times as many people. Also seeing Ling Chen, Shui Ruo began to quickly run towards him, and with a loud cry of joy she exclaimed, "Big brother." Ling Chen walked over, and pulled her closely to his side so she wouldn't get hit by the people rushing about. It felt good to finally be with her in the game world. He lowered his head, and spoke into her ear, "Ruo Ruo, it's too noisy here, let's go someplace quiet. There are a few guildmates I'd like you to meet." Okay. Arriving in a new place and being together with Ling Tian, her heart was filled with excitement at the novelty of the experience. Mystic Moon was like heaven to her, compared to the past that she had spent trapped in her bed. "Oh yeah, big brother, these are the big sisters who always helped me train when I was in the novice village." All the equipment I have was given to me by her and she even helped me get to this place. Two big sisters, this is my big brother. Looking to her side, Ling Chen also saw two other girls dressed in common equipment, their faces hidden by masks. As he turned towards them, they nodded at him and one of them said, "Hello, pleased to meet you. I really like Ruo Ruo, she often talks about you." The girl's voice sounded young, but cold with a slight stiffness. "Big brother, if not for these big sisters helping me, I don't know how long it would be before I could leave the novice village. We have to give our thanks to these two big sisters, alright?" It was so typical of Shui Ruo, she would never forget an act of kindness. Ling Chen gently smiled, and said to them, "Thanks for helping me take care of Shui Ruo." Taken aback, the girls began to panic and one of them began to wave her arms around saying, No need to thank us, we brought her because we really liked Ruo Ruo. If there's nothing else, I think we'll be heading off, but if you need help with anything, feel free to call us at any time." Her cold voice was unable to hide her clear anxiety, and when she had finished speaking, they both walked away, not waiting for a response, almost as if they were fleeing. "Huh? Big sisters, where are you going?" Then they were gone, swept away in the ocean of players that filled the square center. Shui Ruo looked around for a moment, and then said, "That's strange, why were they in such a hurry to leave? Maybe it was because they saw that Ruo Ruo had found Big Brother, so now they can relax and do some of their own things. Don't worry, if you ever miss them, you can just call them over to play with you." Ling Chen smiled as he spoke, then held her hand and led her north of the city. Well, all right. Even though it still felt a little unusual, Shui Ruo didn't think too much of it, trusting Ling Chen. "Big brother, the guildmates that you want to introduce to me, are they beautiful? Oh, and should I advance my occupation?" "No need, let's go." They walked through the marketplace and the administrative zone until they reached the common residential areas in the northern part of the city. There were very few players around, most of the inhabitants were NPCs. When they had reached a safe place, Ling Chen stopped and took out a scroll he had specially prepared for Shui Ruo. It was a job advancement scroll for Fairy Priest. When he faced the Azure Dragon's mayor, he was granted a single request, and after careful deliberation, chose to ask for job advancement scrolls from the Hall of Heroic Spirits. He selected one that was suitable for Shui Ruo to job advance into Fairy Priest. As for the Phantasmal Blade Dancer, it was just a bonus. Levels could be increased, equipment could be obtained with effort, and money could be earned. Everything that could be bought or earned with effort could not be considered the extremely valuable. As such, this scroll that was almost impossible to obtain was quite valuable to him. "Ruo Ruo, shatter this scroll and advance your job." As he placed the scroll into her hands, he hoped that his Shui Ruo would be the happiest princess, even if only in the virtual world. When she opened it, her mouth widened and she cried out, "Wow! A hidden profession class change scroll." Although this was her first time playing a virtual game, she had been exposed to them when she was younger, so she had a basic understanding of the game's elements. She knew that this scroll was extremely rare and precious, and that it was also the right one for her current class. Looking up, her face was filled with joy and gratitude for Ling Chen. "Big brother. You're so great. Big brother is the greatest in the whole world." Players in the novice village could also hear server-wide announcements from the mouths of other players. The name that she heard the most from their discussions was Ling Tian. She knew that the person that people were talking about was her favorite big brother and was very familiar with every major event that had transpired within Mystic Moon since its opening. None of this had really surprised her at all, and she was secretly proud, because from a young age she had liked him to the point of almost worshipping him. To her, her brother was the world's most amazing and powerful person. But of course. Otherwise how could I be Ruo Ruo's big brother? Ling Chen laughed with pride at the sight of her happiness. He felt more and more certain that taking this scroll was worth it. "Come on now, shatter it and advance your job." "Yup. Shui Ruo nodded. Excited, but nervous at the prospect of using a hidden profession scroll, she took a deep breath and cautiously crushed it as she closed her eyes. Suddenly, the pieces of the scroll floated up and fragments of green light exploded from within, bathing Shui Ruo's body until she had been completely covered. With a sweet smile, she opened her eyes, and exclaimed, "Big brother, it succeeded." The green light still hovered around Shui Ruo's body, releasing a breeze that smelled like the freshness of a grassy field. The properties of Shui Ruo's new class were revealed before Ling Chen's eyes, and the two siblings looked to see what kind of special abilities this class possessed. Fairy Priest, a class originating from the mystical fairy clan. The user can harness the sheer force of nature to be used for healing and support, or to perform mild attacks on enemies. When advancing to this class, the body will be shrouded with the beautiful light of fairies. If a person with this class enters the fairy clan, they will have the goodwill and trust of the fairies. Class bonus stats: Constitution plus 10, Agility plus 10, Spirit plus 20, HP plus 100, Magic plus 200, Water, Fire, Wind, Thunder, Earth, Light, Darkness, all 7 elements resistance plus 12%, SP plus 50. Class passive abilities: able to freely activate the fairy light. When active, 5% HP and 3% MP is restored per second. Can greatly reduce any kind of aggression from any creature. Core attribute result: 1 strength equals 2 physical attack, 1 constitution equals 10 HP plus 1 defense, 1 agility equals 1 hit rate plus 1 dodge, 1 spirit equals 2 magic attack plus 15 mana. Every time it is upgraded, plus 10 HP, plus 20 mana, plus 1 spirit, plus 5 free AP. Class skills: Holy Movement, current level, LV1, highest level, LV3, SP requirement for upgrading to LV2, 100. A skill all elementalists have: Blink 3M in any direction. Cannot blink past barriers, costs 60 mana, 3-second cooldown. Self-Spirit Healing, current level, LV1, highest level, LV5, SP requirement for upgrading to LV2, 30. Invokes the power of nature to heal self, heals 30% of own HP, cost 15 mana, 5-second cooldown. Fairy Heal, current level, LV1, highest level, LV5, SP requirement for upgrading to LV2, 30, invokes the power of nature to heal a target within 15 m. Target healed for magic attack X2, costs 20 mana, 5-second cooldown. Fairy Arrow, current level, LV1, highest level, LV5, SP requirement for upgrading to LV2, 30. Manipulates the force of nature into an elemental arrow, attacking a single target within 10 m. Nature's Light, current level, LV1, highest level, LV5, SP requirement for upgrading to LV2, 200. A reverent prayer is made to nature, summoning the power of nature to cover self and surrounding players. Restores HP, magic attack X3, to all targets within 30 m radius, and removes all abnormal states, costs 300 mana, 30-second cooldown. Fairy Shield, current level, LV1, highest level, LV5, SP requirement for upgrading to LV2, 200. Using the power of nature, casts a shield of nature onto a target within a 15 m radius, reducing all damage taken by that target by 30%. Lasts 20 seconds, 60-second cooldown. Of course it is. Ruo, right now, you're probably the strongest priest in all of China. Ling Chen said while smiling. He had said this to make Shui Ruo happy, but at the same time, he knew that he was not exaggerating at all. After looking at the fairy priest's stats and skills, even he had been completely shocked. It was so much stronger than a normal priest, and this was only the beginning. It was difficult to imagine how powerful this class would be after it was developed and upgraded. Shui Ruo gave a sweet smile. Then I'm going to be able to protect Big Brother, right? Of course. My Ruo Ruo will become the strongest priest out there, and there will be countless people begging Ruo Ruo to protect them. Ling Chen said with a smile. Powerful priests were people who guilds desperately fought over. This was something that was commonly seen. It was because the role of a priest was far too important in team battles. Shield bearers and priests were two classes that a powerful team absolutely needed. Fairy priest, if the stats and skills of this class were made public, there would be many jealous priests who would drool from just looking at the stats and skills. Let's go, I'll take you to meet our guild members. They're already waiting for us. No one could resist the allure of a powerful class. The sheer power and mysteriousness of the hidden professions were things that caused people to lose control of themselves. The Shui Ruo who had just changed to the fairy priest class was still lost in her exhilaration, or perhaps, she was always this happy and carefree when she was with Ling Chen. Before Ling Chen had met up with Shui Ruo, he had already told Meng Xian and the rest of them about her. They had long since been waiting for this mysterious guild member, and were very much looking forwards to meeting her. They walked to the house with the Heart's Dream sign, and opened the door. Inside, Yun Meng Xian, Shao Qi, Su'er and Mu Bingyao had been sitting together, discussing something. When they saw Ling Chen and the girl he had brought, they all stood up, and went over to greet them. Good morning big brother Ling Tian, is she your little sister, our Heart's Dream's new member? The first to rush up was naturally the energetic Shao Qi. She immediately started questioning Ling Chen as she curiously stared at Shui Ruo. Yeah, this is my little sister, you can call her Ruo Ruo. She's 16 years and 5 months old. Ling Chen said as he nodded. Ever since she was diagnosed with the Isrock disease, apart from himself, Shui Ruo had not been in contact with any other people, and thus did not have any friends. Ling Chen hoped that she would make many friends in this world, friends who she could chat with, have fun with and play with. Wow! Awesome! Hi Ruo Ruo, I'm called Shao Qi, and I'm older than you by 1 year. You can call me Qi Qi. Another new member had joined, and it was Ling Tian's little sister. Shao Qi's excitement was written all over her face. Hi big sister Qi Qi, big brother often mentions you these days. The Shui Ruo who had not been in contact with other people for a while was not shy or reclusive at all. Whether it was her voice, or her smile, they were both extremely natural and relaxed. Big brother Ling Tian often mentions me? This sentence caused Shao Qi's heart to start beating 200% faster. She secretly glanced at Ling Chen and hurriedly asked, what does he say about me? Did he say anything bad about me? Ling Shui Ruo shook her head, no way. Big brother said Qi Qi is a very pretty, cute and pure girl, as well as has a very powerful background. However, she doesn't act like a stuck-up girl at all, and no matter who she talks to, that person will become very happy. Ling Chen, hearing that she had been described like this by Ling Chen, Shao Qi felt like flowers were blooming in her heart. Instantly, her opinion of the girl in front of her considerably rose as well. She covered her face, and slightly embarrassedly said, hee, no way I'm as good as big brother Ling Tian described. Ruo Ruo, once again, welcome to Heart's Dream. If anyone dares to bully you, let me know and I'll teach them a lesson. Don't worry, with me protecting you, no one will dare to bully you. Thanks big sister Qi Qi. Shui Ruo's voice was so soft and pure that it seemed like it could melt any and all evil and sinfulness. It was just as effective towards women as towards men, causing the Shao princess to vow to protect her as soon as they had met. She affectionately held Shui Ruo's little hands as she introduced everyone else. This is big sister Meng Xian, who is our Heart's Dreams guild master. She's a very good person, so I'm sure that you will like her. Hello big sister Meng Xian. I've been hearing about you since a long time ago. Big brother said that your temperament and personality is one of the best he's ever seen, and today I can confirm this is true. Shui Ruo's words caused Yun Meng Xian to gently smile. She felt that even the softest places in her heart had been stirred by Shui Ruo. This was a girl who was almost impossible to dislike. It seemed that Yun Meng Xian's previous worries had all been unnecessary. Ruo Ruo, welcome to Heart's Dream. I hope that it will become like another family for you. Definitely. Ling Shui Ruo answered in a clear voice. And the most littlest, most cutest is our little Su Su. She's only 15 years old, so she's a bit younger than you. Shao Qi began to introduce Su'er. Hello Su Su. Su Su is just as cute as Big Brother described. Yesterday Big Brother was saying how he liked seeing Su Su's face when she's blushing. Ling Shui Ruo walked toward Su'er with a sweet smile. Hearing what Ling Chen had said about her, Su'er began to blush and slightly lowered her head. She looked so cute that anyone would be tempted to kiss her little face. She used a very small and weak voice to say, Big Sister Ruo Ruo, welcome to Heart's Dream. Let's all work hard together. Let's work hard together. I will definitely work hard with all of you. Ling Shui Ruo's behavior caused Ling Chen to be somewhat surprised. After being diagnosed with the Isrock disease, she had been cut off from the rest of the world for 3 years. What he expected was that she would act somewhat awkwardly or cautiously around strangers, and would not be able to act in such a relaxed manner. However, the way Shui Ruo acted towards them seemed like she had seen her own blood-related sisters, and had even caused every single person to have a good impression of her. From the way they all looked at Shui Ruo, Ling Chen could tell that they all extremely liked this girl, although they had only just met. Silently, he thought of the Shui Ruo from 3 years ago. Indeed, the Shui Ruo from back then was just as energetic and outgoing, just like Shao Qi. She was not afraid of anything and held no malicious intents whatsoever in her heart. She was so kind and caring, even to a person who was collapsed on the ground, someone no one else even bothered to look at. And yet, she had anxiously and caringly called out to him. Indeed, she was someone who enjoyed lively places and events, and enjoyed having many friends. 3 years ago she was like this, naturally, 3 years after, she would be too. She wouldn't be shy or afraid, and would instead be incredibly happy to have so many friends. And finally, this is the most strongest girl in all of China, as well our Heart's Dreams member. Shao Qi pointed towards Mu Bingyao. I know, it's Big Sister Bingyao. Ling Shui Ruo immediately called out Mu Bingyao's name, causing this cold beauty to reveal an expression of shock, as well as another strange expression which quickly disappeared. Ling Shui Ruo cautioned, Hello Big Sister Bingyao, it's so good to see you up close. I heard of your name a long time ago, and I know you're even called the Frozen-Hearted Man-Eater. I never thought that I could become guildmates with Big Sister Bingyao. I'm so happy. Hearing Shui Ruo say this, Mu Bingyao's icy heart deep down felt a sensation of warmth. She did not say anything back, only nodding at Ling Shui Ruo. However, her snowy jade complexion revealed a faint expression of gentleness towards Shui Ruo. And now, our Heart's Dream has 6 members. Yet another guild member, I'm so happy. Shao Qi fondly pulled Shui Ruo to sit next to her at the table. Shui Ruo's little hands were extremely soft and gentle, causing Shao Qi to be unwilling to let go. She looked at Ling Shui Ruo, and stretched out her hands towards the butterfly mask she was wearing. Ruo Ruo, quickly take off your mask so we can see what you look like. Ruo Ruo's voice is so pleasant, so I'm sure that you're a super pretty girl. Ling Shui Ruo put up her hands in front of the mask, and gently shook her head. I also really want to show everyone what I look like, but I need to listen to Big Brother. He doesn't want me to take off my mask, so I won't. Ling Chen, who knew that this was bound to happen, let out a sigh. Without giving Shao Qi a chance to continue to push Shui Ruo, he walked over and put his arm around Shui Ruo's shoulders. It's not that I don't want you guys to see what Ruo Ruo looks like, and it's not that I don't trust you guys. It's just that Ruo's body isn't too well, and you should all know that right now I'm attracting a lot of attention. If they people who were observing me found out about me, they'd use Ruo to find out my identity. Although it wouldn't matter much for me, but I'm afraid that Ruo would be negatively affected. Thus, just to be especially safe, we need to protect our identities. Indeed, Ling Chen, you're very famous now, so much that you're squashing the names of the Sword Emperor and Shinigami. Right now, there are definitely countless people who are desperately trying to find your real identity in order to rope you in with them, or even control you. If your identity does become exposed, then your life will be disrupted, as well as Ruo's, who needs to be looked after. I agree that you should be as cautious as possible. Yunmeng Xian was very understanding of Ling Chen's position. Fine then. Although Shao Qi was still extremely curious and was not quite happy to give up, she did not persist anymore. When it's the right time, Ruo and I will not hide our identities from you guys anymore. I believe that this day will not be too far away. Ling Chen smilingly said. Her voice, every sentence she spoke, as well as her demeanor and temperament caused people to like her. Her arrival had caused her to become the focus of everyone. As they were all girls, they did not feel distant or unfamiliar when chatting, and felt like that they had all been friends for a long time. They all knew that Shui Ruo had just left Novice Village, and had wanted to take her to change her class. However, when Shui Ruo revealed her, fairy priest, class, they had all been shocked out of their minds. Hidden profession. Such a powerful priest. Heavens! It must be many, many times stronger than normal priests. Looks like our heart's dream has a very, very powerful priest now. With Ruo, we can fight with no worries now. Yunmeng Xian said while smiling. Us 5 girls, Big Sister Meng Xian and Big Sister Bing Yao are close-quarter combat, Su is ranged combat, I'm a mage and now we have Ruo. If we can find a shield bearer, then we would have a perfect team. Shao Qi said while grinning. But, what about Big Brother Ling Chen? Su'er asked in a small voice. Shao Qi wrinkled her nose, Big Brother Ling Chen is way too overpowered, if he's there, then we won't have anything to do. When we go on quests, we need to get rid of Big Brother Ling Chen, otherwise there won't be any danger or excitement anymore. Ling Chen curled his lips, but didn't say anything. Meng Xian and the rest of them felt that what Shao Qi had said was quite true. Every time there was a monster or a group of monsters, they would fight them to the best of their abilities. However, if Ling Chen was present, if he called out Shi Ling, all she had to do was flap her wings and mobs of monsters would be easily destroyed. The rest of the girls would have nothing to do. Before, they were discussing how if Ling Chen's true power was displayed in front of everyone, who knew how big the waves would be. That's right, Big Brother Ling Chen. Shao Qi stood up from her chair, and ran to Ling Chen's side. Her 2 large eyes sparkled as she looked at him. The hidden profession Ruo must have come from you, right? Do you have any other hidden professions? You have one, Ruo has one, Big Sister Meng Xian has one. There's still Big Sister Bing Yao, Su, and me, Chi, we also want a hidden profession. Give us one each as well. Ling Chen's mouth slightly tensed. Do you think hidden professions are heads of cabbage, and you can just find them all over the ground? Come to think of it, Ling Chen did indeed have a hidden profession class change scroll. It was the Wind Spirit Marksman that had dropped from the Zephyr Bird. Su'er was an archer, and thus could use this scroll. However, Ling Chen still did not choose to take out the scroll. The reason he had given Yunmeng Xian a hidden profession was because she was the reason why he had joined the virtual world, she was the person he was directly trying to help. He had only known everyone else for a short period of time, and could not base the decision of giving something so valuable on such a short period of time. But, I really want one, Big Sister Bing Yao, Su, I'm sure you guys want one too, right? Shao Qi grabbed Ling Chen's hand, acting like a little sister who was trying to convince her older brother to buy her something she wanted by acting cute. The power of beauty was very strong, but even if it was stronger by 10 times, Ling Chen still wouldn't be able to take anything out. He could only exasperatedly say, in a game, only a few hidden professions might be found. It's really not easy at all to find one. How about this, if I really do find one in future, I'll immediately give it to you, alright? Of course, Shao Qi had known that the chance for a hidden profession class change scroll was extremely low. If it was that easy to find, then there would be players with hidden professions all over the place. She never expected to really get a hidden profession from Ling Chen just like that. To be able to get this promise from Ling Chen, she was already very satisfied. As a man, you need to keep your promises. Remember, if you find any elementalist hidden professions, you definitely have to give it to me. Heart's Dream now had 6 members. Out of the 6 members, 3 had hidden professions, and 2 were in the top 10 of the player level rankings. The Ling Chen who had become the core of Heart's Dream was number 1 on the player level rankings, no less. A guild with little to no foundation and fame, and had not even been officially established yet, surprisingly had quite an impressive lineup. In that case, what should we do now? Right, let's take Ruo to have a look around Azure Dragon City. Azure Dragon City's so large, and there are a lot of fun things to do. How about this, Yunmeng Xin said while smiling. After coming to Azure Dragon City, we still haven't had a taste of the delicacies here. Today, let's spend a bit extravagantly, and have a nice banquet. Good idea. I completely agree. Yunmeng Xin's suggestion received positive responses from everyone else, so they decided to go with this plan. Just as they were about to leave, a system announcement rang out in everyone's ears. Ding! China Region Announcement. Over 50% of players have completed their first class change in the China region. The China region mercenary system has been released. From now on players can go to the mercenary registration in large cities to register a mercenary group. The China region guild system has been released. Players with over 1,000 fame and have a guild creation token can go to the mayor's residence in large cities to create a guild. The China region guild rankings have been released. Guilds are ranked according to their time of creation. Ding! China region announcement. Over 50% of players have completed their first class change in the China region. China region's 4 mega quests have been released. The 4 mega quests are for strong players who enjoy dangerous quests that push them to their limits. Every mega quest has extremely high difficulty. After completing a mega quest, players will receive bounteous rewards. The information regarding the 4 mega quests have been sent to every player's quest page. It is recommended that brave players who wish to challenge the 4 mega quests make sufficient preparations. Entry requirements. After creating a group, the group leader will choose the mega quest. The group will then be teleported to the location of the mega quest. The mercenary system and guild system had finally been released. Although both were player groups, a mercenary group had much more freedom than a guild. Mercenary groups could be created or disbanded at any time, and did not have as many requirements or restrictions. However, because of this, they would forever remain as small-scale entities. The creation of guilds was much more complicated, as well as serious, than the creation of mercenary groups. A few minutes after the system announcement had ended, a player-initiated region announcement sounded out. Ding! Player, Yan Huang's Shadow, initiated region announcement. Yan Huang Alliance is currently requesting for a guild creation token. If any player has found a guild creation token, please contact me directly. Price is not an issue. Our Yan Huang Alliance represents China's power and glory. In Mystic Moon, we vow to grow even stronger, and make the entire world tremble before our mighty Yan Huang Alliance. A region announcement could transmit a message to hundreds of millions of players at the same time. As such, initiating such an announcement was very costly. An announcement, restricted to 1 minute, costed an extraordinary 10,000 gold. Even if it was the Yan Huang alliance, being able to fork out 10,000 gold at the current stage of the game was not easy for them. However, in order to be the first to obtain a guild creation token and become the first official guild, they were willing to make sacrifices. Guilds were ranked according to their time of creation. This meant that the first guild to be created, unless it was destroyed, would forever remain at the top of the guild rankings. As such, it was obvious why everyone was so desperate to obtain the first guild creation token. Having the number 1 position and having any lower position were completely different things. After the Yan Huang Alliance's announcement sounded out, another player-initiated announcement rang out. Ding! Player, Gloomy Ecstasy, initiated region announcement, Skyfall Dynasty is currently looking for a guild creation token. Our 3 heavenly kings promise that whoever gives us the first guild creation token, they will immediately become a core member of Skyfall Dynasty, enjoying the same benefits as a core member before Mystic Moon closes. You will never have to worry about money again. Immediately after the guild system had been released, the fight to become the first official guild had started. There was destined to be a blood-filled showdown between the Yan Huang Alliance and the Skyfall Dynasty, these 2 great powers. To them, their only competitors were the other side. They did not believe that there were any other guilds with the power or resources to acquire the first guild creation token. Of course, these were only the concerns of the big figures of the guilds. The attention of all the other players was placed upon the 4 mega quests. Looks like we have something to do now. The group that had just been about to leave to have a luxurious banquet stopped. Ling Chen opened his quests page, and showed it to everyone. Let's have a look at these quests. Maybe doing a quest together wouldn't be too bad either. Quest difficulty, relatively hard quest rewards, 2x LV15 copper weapons, only 2 per team, SP plus 50, every player, Fame plus 50, every player. This quest can only be entered 3 times. The SP and Fame rewards can only be received in the first completion. Quest warning, the ogres are LV13-16, and are stronger than normal monsters of the same level. They hunt in packs, and are difficult to deal with. Players should be aware that giant ogres may appear, which are generally impossible to defeat for normal players at the current stage. Recommended level, 13+, recommended number of players, 12 players. Mega Quest 2, collect red crystal grass, quest background, the Azure Dragon's mayor's son was bitten by a venomous snake and severely poisoned. The venom has been dispelled and his life is no longer in any danger. However, because of the snake venom, his body has become quite weak. In order to fully recover his body's health and energy, he requires large amounts of red crystal grass. Quest details: advance to the forest region at the east of the Azure Dragon City and collect at least 3 red crystal grass. Deliver the red crystal grass to the guards of the mayor's residence. This quest can be completed as a solo player, or in a group of no more than 12 people. Difficulty: hard quest rewards, 1x LV15 silver weapon, only 1 per team, SP plus 80, every player, Fame plus 80, every player. This quest can only be entered 3 times. The SP and Fame rewards can only be received in the first completion. Quest warning: the monsters at the forest region are all LV30+, the players entering the forest region should avoid the monsters at all circumstances. It is recommended that the players split up, as well as use equips that can increase agility and/or speed. Recommended level, 15+, recommended number of players, 12 players. Mega Quest 3, Forest of Bones, quest background, to the southeast of the Azure Dragon City, right next to the Eastern Sea, there is a dark, forbidden forest called the Forest of Bones. The Forest of Bones, Lonely Spirit Ridge and Moon God Ruins are the 3 forbidden areas for humans in the eastern region of the Forgotten Continent. There are countless bones inside the Forest of Bones, which suggests that countless beings have died or were buried there. However, to this date, no one knows where all the bones came from. The Forest of Bones not only has normal skeletons, but also weapon-carrying skeleton soldiers, which have incredibly solid bodies and strong attack power. They will emotionlessly kill any humans who come near, and add their bones to the masses of bones already there. It is said that something is behind the scenes controlling the skeletons, protecting something. Quest details: advance to the Forest of Bones. Find out what is at the heart of the Forest of Bones, and report to the Chief of Bodyguards. Difficulty: extremely hard. Quest rewards: 2x LV20 gold weapon, only 2 per team, and 1 intermediate energy crystal, only 1 per team, SP plus 150, every player, Fame plus 150, every player, Luck plus 1, Comprehension plus 1, every player. This quest can only be entered 3 times, and can only be entered once per day. This quest has a time limit of 3 hours. After 3 hours, players will be returned from the quest. Once a player has completed the quest will automatically be closed, i.e. the quest can only be completed by one player or one group of players. Quest warning: the skeletons in the Forest of Bones are special monsters and have extremely strong defense. The heart of the Forest of Bones contains many hidden dangers, so players should proceed with caution. Recommended level: LV20+, recommended number of players, 12 players. Ultimate quest: Moon God Ruins. Quest background: 10,000 years ago, a catastrophe called the Shura's devastation occurred. Because of mankind's constant modernization and updating of history, this event has long since been forgotten by the humans. However, the Moon God clan will never forget this catastrophe. This is because in that event, 30 moon gods were slain by the Shura. After a tragic and horrifying battle, the Moon God clan finally killed the Shura at the place the 30 moon gods had died at. However, because of the severity of the battle, the surrounding area was reduced to ruins. From then onwards, the Moon God clan has never entered that place. Since 10 years ago, the Azure Dragon's mayor started receiving news that mournful weeping had been heard from the direction of the Moon God ruins. It is said that the mournful weeping came from the souls of the moon gods that were slain there. 5 years ago, the Azure Dragon's mayor sent people to investigate the Moon God ruins, but to this date, none have returned. Quest details: advance to the Moon God ruins and investigate the origin of the mournful weeping. Report your findings to the Azure Dragon's mayor. Only after completing the other 3 mega quests can players accept this quest. Only one player can enter at a time. Quest difficulty: insanely difficult. Quest rewards: unknown. Every player can only enter once. If any player completes the quest will automatically be closed. Quest warning: if you would like to die, please accept this quest. Recommended level: unsuitable for any level. Recommended number of players: all who enter shall die. The 4 mega quests had been listed on every player's quest page, and each mega quest was described in detail. The difficulties were split into relatively hard, hard, extremely hard, and insanely hard. There were no normal or easy difficulty quests. The ultimate quest, the Moon God Ruins quest, had even clearly stated that, if you would like to die, please accept this quest. Wow, all of the rewards are so good. You can receive so many SP. And look. If you finish that Forest of Bones quest, you can get 2 gold equips, too. As well as an intermediate energy crystal. Ah! Heavens, you also get bonuses to your luck and comprehension. However, for these good quests, as soon as they are completed, they will be closed. The difficulty of these types of quests will definitely be at a ridiculous level. The quest warning also stated that players should be at least LV20 before attempting the quest, so no sensible player would go and try it out now. Yunmeng Xian said. The Forest of Bones quest's rewards are incredibly tempting, and only one player or one group of players can receive these rewards. I'm sure there are many players who will be tempted to try out this quest before other players complete it. Nonetheless, it has been labeled as extremely hard, so it is definitely almost impossible to clear at this stage of the game. Big Brother, this Moon God Ruins quest is so strange. The quest description almost implies that it is impossible to clear, so why would they even offer such a quest? Shui Ruo asked Ling Chen while pointing at the quest. Ling Chen believed that the Moon God Ruins quest would definitely become the hot topic of discussion among players. The quest was labeled as insanely hard, and claimed that anyone who entered would die, as well as had quite an impressive background. Apparently it was related to the powerful Moon God clan. However, the more mysterious and terrifying a quest was described as, the more intrigued and interested players would become. Moreover, anyone knew, the harder a quest, the better the rewards would be. Exterminate the ogres, this was a somewhat decent extermination quest. However, to be the targets of a mega quest, the ogres definitely would not be easy to kill. If they were not careful while hunting the ogres, they would instead become the hunted. This was especially so because the quest mentioned that ogres often hunted in packs. Collect red crystal grass. This quest was situated in the forest region, the place Ling Chen had passed while heading to Lonely Spirit Ridge in the past. The hardest part was not finding the red crystal grass, but rather in staying alive in such a dangerous place, because the monsters that appeared there simply could not be defeated by players of the current stage of the game. If a single monster appeared, then the entire party would have a difficult time getting rid of it, but if it was a group of monsters, then the player group would be finished. Forest of Bones, like the Lonely Spirit Ridge, it was also a forbidden area. Thus, it definitely was hiding some sort of dangerous and terrifying thing. However, this quest was not impossible, as the objective was not to kill something or collect something, but to rather just reach the heart of the Forest of Bones. Nevertheless, this was a forbidden area, so even if the objective was to reach the central area, it would still be incredibly difficult. Moon God Ruins. Ling Chen's gaze lingered on this quest for a very long time, and read through the description again and again with his eyebrows furrowed. The Moon God Ruins description was something that would cause many players to become too afraid to attempt the quest, but Ling Chen was someone who enjoyed thrilling and dangerous situations. The more difficult something was, the more he wanted to overcome it. After looking through these quests a few times, he had already become determined to go to the Moon God Ruins to see what was hiding there, but in order to enter the Moon God Ruins, he would have to finish all 3 of the other mega quests, including the Forest of Bones, quest that could only be completed once by one player or group of players. What do you guys think of doing a quest together? Ling Chen suggested, this ogre exterminating quest doesn't look too hard, and it doesn't seem like it'll take too long. Plus, all the different groups are transported to different areas, so we won't have to fight with anyone else. The rewards of 50 SP and 50 fame points are also pretty good. Sure. Come to think of it, we've never completed a quest together as Heart's Dream before, right? Yunmeng Xian said. I agree. Then, let's begin our Heart's Dream's first quest expedition. After we complete the quest, we can go to have our banquet. Xiao Qi raised her hands in total agreement. Did you know? If all of our readers clicked just one adf.ly button every day, there would be at least one bonus chapter every week. The Exterminate the Ogres quest was a simple quest in every respect. It could be started at any time convenient, and all players involved could be directly transported to the quest location. All of Heart's Dream agreed to complete a quest and fight together, as only then would they have a real sense of belonging. The 5 girls decided that the leader would not be Yunmeng Xian, but rather the only man present, Ling Tian. Is this really a good idea? Ling Chen gently fidgeted as he spoke. Yunmeng Xian is the founder and figurehead of our group, so it's only natural that she should be the leader here. You're the only man here, so you should take responsibility and take care of all of us. Also, you're Ling Tian, the most powerful player. If you take up as leader, then we'll all feel more secure. Xiao Qi retorted. Agreed. Shura nodded. The most suitable person for captain is you, not me, Yunmeng Xian said with a smile. Although I created Heart's Dream, the person at the center of all this should most definitely be you. No matter where he went, Ling Chen's strength, fame, actions, even his gender, made him an easily trustworthy and dependable character, a figurehead in any situation. Well, if everyone's agreed to this idea, then I too, will give my full support, Shui Ruo said as she raised her hand, smiling. All right then. Ling Chen had a look of helplessness on his face, but quickly sprang into action. He created a party between the 6 of them, opened the quest page, and selected the Exterminate the Ogres quest. Okay then, let the first party quest for Heart's Dream begin. Get ready, we're heading in. Ding, you have arrived in the quest area, Dark Craggy Hill. Ding, please note, the allocated time for this quest is 60 minutes. You will be allowed to leave upon completion of the quest, Exterminate the Ogres. However, if you fail to complete the quest within the allocated time, you will be removed and sent back to Azure Dragon City. Ding, please exercise caution in any encounter with an ogre, their overall strength is significantly higher than any other creature of the same level. Please be especially careful should you encounter a giant ogre. Withdrawal is recommended in the event of a giant ogre encounter. Upon hearing the announcements, the nature of Ling Chen's environment became clear. The sky was gray, and the landscape before him was dark. It felt as if the sun had just set, but the night had not yet fallen. At first glance, there were a few weeds growing around, but the distribution of flora was quite sparse. The ground was mostly composed of various sized rocks with an eerily dark color. Is this really the quest area? It feels more like a haunted ground meant for scaring people. The wind brought a slight chill down Xiaoqi's spine. Different parties are separated to different parts of the quest area, so you don't have to worry about meeting other parties, Yunmeng Xian said. There are a particularly large number of loose rocks around. The larger ones can block a large line of sight, so everyone be careful, there could be an ogre hiding behind any of them. Okay. What Meng Xian said is right, the large rocks around us will obstruct the view and divert attention. Everyone stay on high alert, the ogres are going to cause some trouble, Ling Chen said. Standing ahead of the party, he looked around at his surroundings. Not a single ogre in sight. He grabbed Shui Ruo's hand and started to move ahead. Although it was an entirely subconscious action, to him, nothing was more important than Shui Ruo's safety. And as she also closely depended on him, she was the least afraid of the 6 of them. After they walked ahead for about 10 m, all they saw was still a wide range of irregular rocks, and all they heard was the sounds of their own footsteps and the sound of the wind. Why isn't there even a single ogre? Did they all run away to their dens or something? Xiaoqi had her staff ready, and looked around nervously but excitedly. Ling Chen, who walked the furthest ahead, stopped. Shui Ruo stopped behind him. She raised her head and looked at him. It's too quiet, Ling Chen thought. It was eerily quiet. With his heightened perception, he should have been able to at least feel a monster's presence nearby. But then, a thought came to him, if the ogres were demons, which have a dark attribute, then they might have been able to hide under the atmosphere, which was filled with a similarly thick and dark spirit. If that were to be true, then they would be nearly impossible to detect, even if they were standing right behind him. Everyone be careful, Ling Chen reminded once again. He heard 2 screams behind him. The moment he heard the screams reach his ears, Ling Chen's body reacted like an arrow. He didn't see anything, but immediately rushed towards the source of the sound. 2 large shadows suddenly arose from 2 boulders, pouncing on Xiaoqi and Su'er, who were completely helpless. The 2 shadowy figures were about 2 m tall, their whole bodies completely black. They had a humanoid face, but it possessed an inhuman expression. Both Xiaoqi and Su'er were petrified at the sight of such a creature appearing from the rear. It was too late to escape now, let alone attack. Is that, the ogres? The two dark ogres dropped down towards the heads of the two girls. Knowing that they were doomed, they instinctively closed their eyes. However, instead of being crushed, they heard two sounds, and two screams. Pa! Pa! -1690, -3380. With the soaring cloud in his left hand, and the zephyr blade in his right, Ling Chen's hands were fully extended, casting Ling Tian slash with equal strength onto the two ogres, which were less than a penny's distance away from the girls. Ling Tian slash delivered a powerful hit, knocking the two ogres' large bodies onto the ground and leaving them screaming as their HP emptied. Ling Chen let out a breath. After seeing those two girls shocked, he gave a smile. Are you two alright? Ah, well, yeah, we're fine. Shao Qi brought her hands to her chest. The scare from before had significantly increased her heart rate. Had she been attacked by a smaller monster, she wouldn't have panicked as much, but the ogres looked so terrifying that every fiber of her being quivered in fear. Her fear quickly left as Shao Qi went to comfort her. Thanks big brother Ling Tian. I'm fine as well, Su'er nodded. As she said that, she took a sneaky glimpse of Ling Chen. Her eyes were in a trance for a moment, but then she quickly looked back down and gripped her silver bow. When the girls screamed, Yunmeng Xian also quickly turned around and witnessed the entire event. Her eyes flashed in amazement. Not to Ling Chen's amazing attack power, but to his terrifying reaction speed. She was closer to Shao Qi and Su'er than he was, yet when she turned around to their screams he was already at their side, using his hands to perform a dual-wield attack as fast as lightning. In addition, Ling Chen's attack was executed with calculation and extreme precision, hitting the ogres in the ribs where the force would generate the largest knockback. Witnessing the spectacle, Yunmeng Xian was convinced that no normal player could have ever reacted to attack with that speed and precision. Even Mu Bingyao, who was by his side sprinting with her short blades, was a step slower. No, several steps slower. As China's second most renowned assassin, Mu Bingyao's agility was best categorized into a tier of its own, but was still overtaken by the speed of Ling Chen. It wasn't a surprise then that his physical capacity seemed to be unrivaled. A kind of reaction time and speed that seemed to be the products of pushing beyond the limits of human cognition. How did such a person come to exist? Upon seeing him in action, Mu Bingyao sheathed her dagger, her eyes flashing in disbelief of what just happened. Even if he didn't kill anything for many, many years, he would remain the same, a monster scarier than monsters. Be careful. There are probably more ogres in the area, and they'll probably come out in groups based on how these two appeared here, Ling Chen said in a quiet, low voice. Another two shadowy figures rolled out from the rocks at the front, rushing towards Shui Ruo's direction. You looking to die? Ling Chen's face clouded. Suddenly swinging his left hand, a silver light shot out, soaring cloud. Whoosh! Pa! Pa! -2414, 2419 soaring cloud knocked both ogres to the ground simultaneously before they could even come within 3 steps of Shui Ruo. Then, a roar sounded out from all directions, from behind the boulders all around. More dark figures were appearing, 40, maybe 50 of them, and ran towards the group screaming wildly. So many. Each ogre had strength that well exceeded other level 15 monsters, and when confronted by 40 to 50 of them at once, it could very well scare off half a party. Then again, the task was not meant to be easy. Facing a scenario as such, a party's best move would be to escape, and in the process of escaping, take the ogres down one by one, which was another challenge in itself. Big brother, what do we do? There's so many. Ling Shui Ruo slipped over to Ling Chen's side, and anxiously tugged on his clothes as he spoke. Ha! We'll just kill however many come our way. Before they even dared to scare the princess me. Now is the time to have our revenge. Shao Qi clenched her fists, her mouth pouting. But her eyes were focused towards Ling Chen. She truly believed that with Ling Tian around, she wouldn't have to be afraid at all. If the attack was comprised of just one or two ogres, all Ling Chen would have done was organize the girls to perform the most efficient attack combos. But with such a large-scale attack, none of it mattered anymore. Ling Chen raised his hand, and summoned Xiao Hui and Shi Ling, go and burn them all to the ground. Attack skills, body slam, leaps towards its target, causing physical attack damage as well as 20 darkness element damage. The overall strength of the ogres was far superior to normal LV-15 monsters. Although they were just regular monsters, they were comparable to 1-star elite monsters. The reason why they were not 1-star elites was simple: if they were, this place would become a place to farm an incredible amount of SP. Shi Ling's appearance marked the beginning of the ogre's nightmares. As Shi Ling's first wave of wild flames descended on the ogres, the group of ogres began to wail pitifully. Shi Ling's flames were greatly feared by demons. Even the war demon beast of the mysterious god level knelt before Shi Ling's flames, begging for mercy. These low-level ogres too were completely and utterly powerless before them. 333963339633396333396. As the ogres were consumed by the flames, terrifying numbers began to appear, causing Ling Chen to stare, dumbfounded. Shi Ling's current magic attack damage was 6,900, and caused double damage to the ogres because of elemental weaknesses. Shi Ling's flames were indeed the demon's greatest fear. Over 30,000 damage, and it's an area of effect attack, heavens. Watching the ogres screaming in the midst of the flames, as well as the overwhelming numbers above their heads, the girls were shocked out of their minds. Even Mu Bingyao had a look of stupor on her face. Currently, most players were not much higher than LV-10, and could at most cause damage numbers in the 3 digits range. However, what they were looking at right now were 5 digits. This sort of number was not supposed to appear at this stage of the game. What was even more unbelievable was that this sort of damage was coming from a pet. No matter who was looking at this scene, in addition to shock, the only other things present were disbelief and unacceptance. Shi Ling was already known by everyone to be the only Heaven's End grade pet. However, was this damage really coming from a LV-13 Heaven's End grade pet? Let alone Heaven's End, even if it was a LV-13 mysterious god grade pet, such damage figures should not be possible. This is too shocking. If it is so powerful at LV-13, then if it continues leveling up, then its strength would be unimaginable. Even the entire world's only SSS player, Eve, would be killed in less than a second by this pet. Yunmeng Xian thought to herself. As Shi Ling continued to unleash wild flames, the large wave of ogres that were rushing over all became corpses. There were a lucky few that survived, screaming and wailing as they scrambled to get away from the flames. It was as if they had seen their worst nightmare. The girls promptly forget their nervousness, as well as the ferocity of the ogres from before. They stood transfixed, staring at the flames and red damage numbers. At this moment, watching Shi Ling and its owner Ling Tian, all of the girls had the same thought: in terms of power, they were simply on a completely different level. In the blink of an eye, tens of ogres had been utterly decimated. What was left was simply a pile of black corpses and tongues of flame on the ground. The ogres' bodies were quickly devoured by Xiao Hui, who refined them into items then transferred them into Ling Chen's bag. Elementary Darkness Soul Stone, a low-quality stone with a high density of darkness demonic energy. It can be embedded into a weapon or armor. If it is embedded into a weapon, a small amount of darkness element damage will be added to the attack. If it is embedded onto armor, the armor will gain a small amount of darkness element resistance. Although Xiao Hui had only been refining items from fairly low-level monsters recently, not a single one of them was useless. This caused Ling Chen to shiver with anticipation as to what sort of items Xiao Hui would refine if he devoured high-level monsters. After completing his cleanup, Xiao Hui returned to Ling Chen's side. Ling Chen held Shui Ruo's hand, and said while looking forwards, Xiao Hui, go and find the place where there are the most ogres. Shi Ling, go with Xiao Hui and destroy an ogres you find. Let's go, this quest shouldn't take too long. Ling Chen knew what the girls were all thinking and did not say anything about it. No matter how one's mental fortitude was, facing such a scene, they would still be unable to remain calm seeing Shi Ling's incredible power. The ogre's 1200 HP was not a small figure to players of the current stage of the game. However, under Shi Ling's terrifying attack power, their HP was not even worth looking at. Let alone tens, even if hundreds of ogres came swarming, all Shi Ling would have to do was flap her wings a few times, and would decimate them without any danger. As such, with Shi Ling present, what was quite a challenge to other players, something that could result in the entire group dying, was an extremely easy task. In less than 10 minutes, 200 ogres had fallen under Shi Ling's flames. From the beginning to the end, although they had been slightly scared at the beginning, the 5 girls did not have a chance to attack. Instead, they just followed Shi Ling and walked for a while, completing the quest. Ding, you have successfully killed 200 ogres. Ding, the quest, Exterminate Ogres, has been completed. Group rewards, Rusty Armor, Shadow Dagger. Every player will receive, SP plus 50, Fame plus 50. You may remain in Dark Craggy Hill for another 48 minutes, or you can choose to immediately depart. Quest complete. Ling Chen said as he called back Shi Ling and Xiao Hui. He took out the 2 copper items that they had received from the quest. Quest rewards were directly given to the group leader, who could distribute them as he or she liked. One of the copper equips was a copper armor, and was limited to LV-15 male warriors. The other was a LV-15 assassin dagger. Meng Xian, I'll give this armor to you. When you have time, please give it to your brother, although he'll probably be able to find better armor himself sooner or later. Bing Yao, this dagger is for you. If you don't have any better items by the time you reach LV-15, just use until you do. Ling Chen efficiently distributed the copper equips. With Shi Ling present, they had completed the quest easily. However, Ling Chen was sure that less than 10% of current players would be able to complete such a quest. After all, copper-grade equips were not so easy to obtain. Moreover, if they had the power, even if the SP and fame points could only be received after the first completion, completing the quest 3 times would yield 6 copper-grade equips. Seeing that the first quest had such a difficulty level, Ling Chen began to become excited for the next quest. Yun Meng Xian and Mu Bingyao accepted the armor and dagger, but did not say anything. Ling Chen suspiciously looked at them, and asked, "Are you guys alright? Why do you have such strange expressions? We've completed the quest, so do you guys want to go back, or stay for a while?" Yun Meng Xian slightly stepped forwards and said, "The quest has been completed, not to mention the speed, we just discussed, after leaving here, we're going to do the quest again." Ling Chen nodded, good idea. That way, you can get another 2 copper equips. Yun Meng Xian nodded, then shook her head. She looked at Ling Chen, although, the most important thing is, next time we attempt this quest, we hope that you can stand by the side and not help us. Ling Chen was slightly shocked, but looked thoughtfully at her as he asked, "Why is that?" "Because Big Brother Ling Tian and Shi Ling are simply too strong to the point that we don't even have the chance to participate in the quest." Xiao Qi replied, "This is a quest, and is supposed to be hard, as well as filled with danger and excitement. It's meant to test our abilities and strength in different areas. However, with Big Brother Ling Tian present, without even doing anything, we've completed the quest. And yet, there was no sense of a challenge or any sense of accomplishment. Plus, a long time ago we said that Big Brother Ling Tian is the strongest in our group, and is the core of Heart's Dream. Maybe one day you'll even help our Heart's Dream to become a legend. However, we don't want to always rely on Big Brother Ling Tian, but rather work hard ourselves, so that we can help big sister Meng Xian and stand with big brother Ling Tian in supporting Heart's dream. So, we hope that we can once again challenge this quest without big brother Ling Tian's help. Even if we fail, that will still be the outcome of our own efforts, and will push us to grow and work even harder. That's how I feel as well. Before, we were scared stiff by the ogres and were quite useless. I want to use my own strength to challenge this quest again. Suer's voice was as soft and mellow as it usually was, but also contained a hint of resolution and determination. Ling Chen gently smiled, and looked at each of the girls. They were completely different to how daughters of big families normally acted, arrogant and pretentious. Yunmeng Xian was a strong, independent girl, and her two friends who had sacrificed much to join Heart's dreams were not normal girls either. Moreover, with Mu Bingyao present, they probably wouldn't be in any danger. Alright then. Ling Chen smiled as he nodded, then Ruo Ruo and I will go and complete the 3 other quests. You guys can complete this quest again. I believe that even if I'm not here, you'll still be victorious. Ah. No. Hearing that Ling Chen wanted to take Ling Shui Ruo away with him, Shao Qi hurriedly pulled Ling Shui Ruo towards her. Ruo Ruo is ours. With such a strong priest, even if we only have 5 people, we still have confidence to complete this quest. Big brother Ling Tian, you're strong enough to not need any protection. Big brother, then I'll stay with big sister Meng Xian and them. I can't always rely on big brother. After being blocked by Shao Qi, Ling Shui Ruo thought for a while and gave a slightly surprising answer. Indeed, after Ling Chen left, they would only have 5 people left, whereas this quest was recommended for 12 people to complete together. Even if Mu Bingyao was present, it would still be difficult for them to complete the quest. However, with Ling Shui Ruo's fairy priest class and its extremely powerful healing and supporting abilities, they would not be too worried. 5 people with 2 hidden professions. This team setup was something that would shock most people out of their minds. Although he was still quite unwilling, since Shui Ruo had made up her mind, Ling Chen could not bring himself to refuse. He smiled and said, "All right then. Meng Xian, Bingyao, Qi Qi, Su Su, please take care of Ruo Ruo. I don't want to see her hurt in any way. If you run into any trouble, make sure you let me know immediately." Don't worry. Ruo Ruo's so cute, we definitely won't let her come to any harm. Moreover, it's not us protecting Ruo Ruo, it's Ruo Ruo protecting us. With Ling Chen's approval, Shao Qi held Shui Ruo's hand, and started laughing happily. Don't worry, we will definitely take care of her. Indeed, if it was just us 4 without Shui Ruo, even with big sister Bingyao, this quest would still be incredibly difficult. Yunmeng Xian said. Only Mu Bingyao knew how important Ling Chen's seemingly gentle sentence, "Please take care of Ruo Ruo. I don't want to see her hurt in any way" was. As such, her main mission was not to kill ogres, but rather to protect Ling Shui Ruo. With her abilities, killing 200 ogres without being hit was not too difficult, but it would definitely take over an hour. Doing this quest solo was simply impossible. However, with Meng Xian and the others, killing ogres would definitely take less time, but she would also have to look out for them. In that case, I'll be going first. I'm going to go to the next quest. Ling Chen said as he took out a teleport scroll. Ling Chen would be attempting the next quest by himself, but none of the girls felt that there was anything dangerous about that. With Shi Ling's power, no quest would be too difficult for him. As Ling Chen left, Ling Shui Ruo clasped together her hands, and said in her heart, "Do your best, big brother. I'll work hard as well." The Azure Dragon City Square was still as noisy as ever, but was not as simple as it was before. Now, there were many large guilds advertising, with the square filled with voices of guild members recruiting more people. The second quest required one to advance to the forest region. This quest did not directly teleport the players to the location, and instead required players to walk there by themselves. Thus, the first challenge of the quest was to safely pass through the plains region in order to arrive at the forest region. However, this was not a challenge to Ling Chen at all. Back when he was heading to Lonely Spirit Ridge, he had already passed through the plains region and the forest region. He had also bought all of the teleport scrolls to each of the small towns along the way, one of which was right next to the forest region. As such, he could directly teleport to the edge of the forest region. After finding the teleport scroll, he shattered it in his hands. A white light enveloped him, and Ling Chen appeared in the town beside the forest region. He restocked on his potions and then directly headed towards the forest region. He was not too interested in the first two of the 4 mega quests, but was quite interested in the last 2, especially the one called Moon God Ruins. The monsters in the forest region were all vicious beasts, and most were mutants. They were all above level 25, so the most players of the current stage could do was run. This quest was completely different to the first quest. The first quest required players to search for and kill ogres. This quest required players to avoid monsters in order not to be killed. Furthermore, this quest did not have a time limit. If a player found 3 red crystal grass, they would be able to complete the quest. If they could collect 9, then it would be counted as 3 completions of the quest. Back then, when Ling Chen passed through here, he did so at his fastest speed, doing his best to avoid all monsters. As such, he did not notice any red crystal grass, so after entering the forest region, he did not have any idea where he could find any. Apart from the sounds of birds, there were no other noises in the forest region, nor were there any other players. There were not any other players who would be able to directly enter the forest region like him. Even if other players completed the first quest as fast as possible and headed over immediately, it would still take them a long time to reach the forest region. Red crystal grass, from the name, it seemed fair to infer that it would be a red plant, and have the visual effects of a crystal. Ling Chen walked around slowly, looking around in his surroundings carefully. There were countless weeds and grasses growing in the forest region, most of which were green or yellow. After walking for more than half an hour, Ling Chen still had not found a single red and crystal-like plant. Moreover, wild beasts often burst out of the thickets. Although it was quite time-consuming for Ling Chen to personally kill these level 25+ monsters, the same could not be said for Shi Ling. If she saw one, she would destroy one. If she saw a group, she would destroy a group. As such, Ling Chen did not have any problems with monsters along the way. He did not even blink when large groups of monsters jumped out, because with Shi Ling present, the monsters were jumping to their deaths. What was going on? Another half an hour went by, but Ling Chen still had not found a single red crystal grass. This quest was open to all players, and every group of players had to find at least 3 red crystal grass. Given the size of the China region player base, there should be an abundance of red crystal grass. Otherwise, how would players be able to complete this quest? However, despite being the first player to arrive, spending so much time looking, as well as killing so many monsters, Ling Chen had yet to find a single one. Big brother. We succeeded. Us 5 people, we completed this quest by ourselves. Ling Chen was about to continue searching when Shui Ruo's excited voice burst out through Ling Chen's communication device. Hearing Shui Ruo's voice, Ling Chen's frustration in not being able to find the red crystal grass immediately vanished. With Mu Bingyao's strength, as long as she had enough time, even completing the quest by herself was possible. Adding on Meng Xian with her 2 gold-grade weapons and hidden profession and Shui Ruo's fairy priest class, the 5 people clearing the ogre extermination was not unexpected. Hee hee. Big brother Ling Tian, we're pretty amazing, right? Even if we don't have you with us, we still passed it. This was Shao Qi's voice. Ling Chen could almost imagine her delighted smile. Luckily we had Ruo Ruo. If we didn't have Ruo Ruo, we really would have been in trouble. This was Yun Meng Xian's voice. 5 people clearing a quest recommended for 12 people is quite impressive. Ling Chen said as he smiled, in that case, do you guys want to come to the forest region to do the second quest? Of course not. We're going to do this quest again. Just then it was so exciting, so thrilling, so dangerous. We've got to do it again. Agreed. Ling Chen. The 5 girls unanimously decided to do the ogre extermination quest again. What they wanted was not the 2 coppery quips, but rather the thrill and feeling of accomplishment of facing a challenging quest as a team. After talking, the girls went to the marketplace to buy items, leaving Ling Chen to continue on his search for the red crystal grass. Maybe it was because his spirits had been lifted, causing him to be more attentive, but after walking for a few steps, a red sparkle flashed into his eyes. That was. Ling Chen immediately walked over. This was close to the northern border of the forest region. If he continued walking, he would no longer be in the forest, but rather in the mountain region. There were many plants growing on the mountains, and at the bottom, there was a sparkle of red. Squatting down in front of the plant giving off a weak red glow, Ling Chen pushed aside the other grasses and weeds around it. Red crystal grass, a worm-type plant, with a stem that is crystal red. It can be directly eaten. After being consumed, it can recover some life force of the consumer. This was it. Ling Chen immediately reached out with his hands and picked up the red crystal grass, putting it into his bag. He then looked around his surroundings, seeing if there were any more around him. At this moment, Xiao Hui, who had been walking behind him the entire time, gave a small bark, then raced towards the mountain. Every time Xiao Hui acted weirdly, it signified that he found something special. Ling Chen immediately followed Xiao Hui. Xiao Hui stopped in front of a mass of vines on the mountain, and barked a few times at the vines. He then used his claws to claw at the vines. Ling Chen immediately understood. He walked forwards, pulled out the zephyr blade and used a Ling Tian slash towards the vines. Bam! A muffled sound reverberated as Ling Chen's zephyr blade was knocked out of his hands by the recoil. However, the vines of this ageless, solid tree were undamaged. Ling Chen realized that unless the weapon contained the destruction element, no amount of physical attack damage would be able to destroy the vines. He put away the zephyr blade, walked a few meters back and said in a low voice, "Shi Ling, burn these vines, but take care not to damage the surroundings." Shi Ling complied, flying high into the air and letting out a piercing cry. As her wings began to flap, a ray of red light began to descend, and shot towards the vines Ling Chen was trying to cut like a fiery arrow. Whoosh, the blistering heat waves rolled past Ling Chen. Although he was 10 or so meters away, the scalding heat still caused him to feel some pain. The red line shot into the vines, and exploded into a ball of fiery red light. Through the dark smoke, a 2-meter-high cave entrance appeared on the side of the mountain. The mouth of the cave was a perfect circle. Once the entrance to the cave had been revealed, the flames began to die down. What was remarkable was that outside of the circular entrance, nothing had been damaged in the slightest. After the mouth of the cave was revealed, nothing could be seen inside the cave except darkness. Xiao Hui, go ahead and see if there is any danger. Xiao Hui complied, and shot forwards. Xiao Hui's ability to detect danger was far superior to his. Every time there was danger, it was always Xiao Hui who detected it first. Moreover, with Xiao Hui's light body, not only was he extremely fast, but was also swift and stealthy. Shortly after entering the cave, Xiao Hui came rushing back and stood in front of Ling Chen. He made a waving action with his front 2 paws, and without giving Ling Chen to think what the action meant, he turned around and slowly began to walk forwards. Xiao Hui's actions caused Ling Chen to hold his breath in anticipation. He followed behind Xiao Hui, stealthily and silently walking forwards. Xiao Hui's actions indicated that there was some sort of danger ahead, or that there was something ahead that should not be disturbed. The further they went into the cave, the darker it became. Soon, it became so dark that it was almost impossible to see. After walking for tens of meters, the tunnel that they had been walking in began to curve. Xiao Hui stopped walking at the curve, and made a waving motion with his paws. Ling Chen cautiously looked around the curve in the tunnel. With the limited vision he had, he could see a shining, golden object. No, it was a creature. Its body was round like a ball, and its limbs were short and thick. Its whole body was shining with golden light, and it looked like it was digging something. Ling Chen stared for a few seconds, his eyes widening. That was Lucky Cat. That time Ling Chen was heading towards the ghastly grounds, he had met one and taken a pan from it. A being that supposedly had many treasures hidden on its body, Lucky Cat. There was one right there. The entrance to the cave had been completely sealed by the tree vines, with no room to squeeze through. How did the fat golden cat come in then? However, this was not important. Chi Yu mentioned before that normal people might only see a lucky cat once in their lives, and that meeting a lucky cat completely depended on one's luck. However, Ling Chen had just bumped into one before, and here was another one. What sort of luck was this? Although, the situation this time was different to the last. Ling Chen looked around himself. This was a tunnel, with no exit except for where he had entered from. Moreover, this tunnel was only 2 meters wide and high. In that case, the lucky cat's only option was to run towards him. Ling Chen clenched his fist. If he could get the timing right, and use moon shadow when he got close enough, he could catch the lucky cat. Thinking to there, Ling Chen began to smile. It was said that the lucky cat's escaping skills was nonpareil in the whole world, and no one had ever caught a lucky cat before. If he could finally catch one, then it would benefit him greatly. The lucky cat in front of him was pretty much doing the exact same thing as the one he had seen before, digging something out of the ground with its butt in the air. Last time, it was digging out the mysterious red sun gold. Whatever it was digging out this time, being desired by the lucky cat, it was sure to be something good. In order to prevent the lucky cat from taking whatever was there, Ling Chen took a step forwards, but did not try to hide his presence whatsoever. Sure enough, hearing his footstep, the lucky cat's golden fur bristled, and its fat and round body immediately turned around. Its face was as wide as a tub, and the golden bell on its neck rang loudly as it shook. Ling Chen walked forwards, putting his weapons away and slowly raised his right hand with the lunar scourge. If the lucky cat did try to escape past him, he would have to use it at the right moment. Whenever it is approached by any living being, the lucky cat's first instinct was always to run. However, facing Ling Chen, its fur was bristled. Just like the first time, it did not immediately try to get away. Whether it was because it did not want to give up whatever it had been digging, or it did not have the guts to run past Ling Chen, it simply stood there glaring at Ling Chen. Ling Chen continued to press on forwards, getting closer and closer to the lucky cat. Meow 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 meow. Ling Chen's approach caused the lucky cat to emit a series of frightened sounds. There was nowhere to run behind it, but it also did not have the courage to try to slip past Ling Chen. It opened its paws, and something appeared between its two paws. With an angry meow, it threw the item towards Ling Chen. It turned out that the fat cat was not weak at all. Although he was still 40 to 50 meters away, Ling Chen saw a yellow thing flying towards him. It was shaped like a pineapple, was the same color as a pineapple, and had leaves similar to that of a pineapple. Wait, that was a pineapple. At the same time, Xiao Hui's eyes of the Holy Spirit transmitted information regarding the pineapple into Ling Chen's mind. Furious pineapple, a demonic and explosive pineapple. Its favorite phrase is, "Don't think that pineapples are so easy to mess with." Effect 1, Pineapple Grenade. After being thrown, when it hits the ground, it will explode, causing strong vibrations. It has a 100% chance to stun everything within 50 meters for at least 5 seconds. It does not cause any damage. After exploding, the pineapple will disappear. If the furious pineapple is caught before it hits the ground, its explosion can be prevented. After reading this, Ling Chen's eyes widened. If this pineapple hit the ground, everything within 50 meters would be stunned. Holy crap! Although he had originally been planning to dodge the pineapple, he could only rush towards it, his gaze fixed on it. He reached out with his hands and snatched it out of the air, gripping it firmly with his hands. The pineapple did not explode, allowing Ling Chen to momentarily exhale a breath of relief. It seemed that the lucky cat was hiding many precious things on its body, even a pineapple that it had casually tossed out had such an effect. If this pineapple was thrown out during a group battle, the effects would be terrifying. Having caught the pineapple and kept it from exploding, Ling Chen became the owner of the pineapple. He quickly put the pineapple into his bag. Seeing that the pineapple grenade had been caught, the lucky cat jumped up and down in fury. The lucky cat once again opened its paws, and a large pineapple simultaneously appeared in each paw. It furiously launched the 2 pineapples towards Ling Chen. As soon as the 2 pineapples left the lucky cat's paws, Ling Chen had already grasped the trajectory and speed at which they were flying. He immediately charged forwards, but his sights were not set on the pineapples, but rather on the lucky cat. As he passed through the gap between the 2 pineapples, his hands shot out, grabbing the 2 pineapples and throwing them into his bag. As someone who could dodge even bullets at a close distance, how could he not manage against 2 large pineapples? Meow. The lucky cat began to panic. Its paws blurred, as it threw out another 3 pineapples. This time, the fat cat learnt its lesson. It did not throw out the 3 pineapples simultaneously, but threw them out one after the other, at different speeds and trajectories. Ling Chen glanced at the 3 pineapples, and after determining that they would all reach where he was standing, decided not to move at all. His heart was full of contempt for the lucky cat. This fat cat must be stupid. If it threw one down at its feet, I wouldn't be able to intercept it no matter what. As he thought, he casually caught the first pineapple in his right hand, then caught the second pineapple with his left hand. As he caught the second pineapple, he deposited the first pineapple into his bag, then stretched out his right hand towards the third pineapple. However, just as his hand was about to come into contact with the third pineapple, he felt that something was not right. For some reason, this pineapple seemed much larger than the previous ones. Berserk pineapple. A berserk and violent pineapple. After it is thrown out, it will explode as soon as it touches any physical matter. After exploding, it will cause vibrations, having a 100% chance to stun everything within 100 meters for at least 10 seconds. It does not cause any damage. After exploding, the pineapple will disappear. Ling Chen, goddamn. At #UN%, boom. The moment his finger came into contact with the berserk pineapple, an ear-splitting explosion rang out. The vibrations passed through Ling Chen's body, and his mind became blank. Even Shi Ling, who was hovering beside him, crashed to the ground. God damn it. I've been had by this fat cat. This was the last thought that passed through Ling Chen's mind before he temporarily lost consciousness. After a short while, when the stun effect ended, there was only an empty cave in front of Ling Chen. The lucky cat was long gone, and Shi Ling rose up from the ground, giving an angry cry. Being a Heaven's End grade pet, anything that could stun Shi Ling was definitely not ordinary. I was too careless. Ling Chen regretfully said as he covered his face with his hands. Lucky cats had never been caught by any player before, so why did he expect to catch one with such ease? However, it was not as if he had not benefited from this. Ling Chen opened his bag and looked at the 5 large pineapples. These were super weapons that had 100% AoE stuns. Although the lucky cat got away, these 5 pineapples were extremely useful. Moreover, it seemed that the furious pineapples had 2 effects. At the time, he only had time to look at the first one. He picked up a pineapple and looked at its second effect, Furious Pineapple. Effect 2, Boroboromi. If one holds this pineapple and silently chants Boroboromi, the user can transform into a large pineapple. No creature of any level or grade will be able to determine your true identity and form. The effects last for 10 minutes, after which the pineapple will disappear. Ling Chen, be alright, this second effect was pretty interesting. Ling Chen stuffed the pineapple back into his bag and checked his amount of gold out of habit. All of a sudden, his eyes widened, and his face slowly went from white, to red, to green, to black. A blood-curdling scream subsequently rang out, causing the entire cave and tunnel to tremble. My gold! After being hit by the explosion from the berserk pineapple, he had been stunned for 10 seconds. In the space of 10 seconds, the lucky cat definitely had enough time to casually walk by from his side, as well as take away all of his gold. However, in the midst of his fury, he also felt a bit relieved. If the lucky cat had chosen to use True Lucky Hand instead of Lucky Hand, then he would not have anything left. Not only would he have 0 gold, but all of his items would have been taken away. The description of the True Lucky Hand stated that it could take away everything on the target's body, maybe that even included weapons and equipment. Having experienced this skill, a wave of fear washed over Ling Chen. Just having his gold stolen almost caused Ling Chen to explode from anger. If all of his items and equipment had been stolen, it would drive him crazy. Perhaps this would be even more cruel than killing a person until they were at LV0 again. Seeing his amount of gold being at 0 again, Ling Chen could not help but think that if he had this move, Lucky Hand, even if he was at LV0, any person would tread carefully around him. Lucky Hand was definitely the most terrifying and cruel skill he had ever seen in his entire life. However, this was only something he could dream about. The lucky cat had been digging at something before, so it should have been some kind of ore or metal. However, when Ling Chen looked at Xiao Hui, he saw that Xiao Hui was wagging his tail with a nonchalant look on his face. This relaxed behavior from Xiao Hui clearly indicated that there were no treasures or dangers around. Regardless, Ling Chen stubbornly walked forwards to have a look. What he saw was a large, empty hole. Ling Chen raised his head and wordless shouted in his mind, "You damn lucky cat. You better pray that I don't meet you again." Ling Chen cursed the lucky cat in his mind, then wandered around in the cave to see if there was anything left. After coming out, he walked along the mountain path, where he found a second red crystal grass. Ling Chen concluded that the red crystal grass primarily grew close to mountains or other rocky areas. As he followed the mountain path, countless wild monsters appeared, but were all slain by Ling. After another 10 minutes, he finally found a third red crystal grass. Ding, you have successfully collected 3 red crystal grass, and have completed Collect Red Crystal Grass quest. You can now advance to the mayor's residence to collect your reward. Finally done. Having collected the third red crystal grass, Ling Chen took out a teleport scroll and returned to Azure Dragon City. He was not too interested in the rewards of this quest. After all, silver equipment meant almost nothing to him who had 2 celestial-grade equipment, and the 80 SP was simply insignificant to his SP requirements of thousands or tens of thousands of SP. The only reason he had even bothered to complete this quest was so he could proceed on to the next 2 quests. Ling Chen arrived at the mayor's residence and gave the 3 red crystal grass to the guards. Ding, you have successfully completed the quest, collect red crystal grass, rewards, starry robe, SP plus 80, fame plus 80. You can attempt this quest 2 more times. Starry robe, type, upper garment, grade, silver, equipment requirements, any magic-related profession LV15 or above. A robe that was blessed by the fairies and is embroidered with sparkling stars. Attributes, defense plus 15, all magic resistance plus 5%, spirit plus 7, constitution plus 4, restores 1 mana every second. The reward of the second quest was a silver-grade magician robe. Because it could be used by any magic-related profession, Shui Ruo would be able to use it as soon as she reached LV-15. Ling Chen was just about to use his communication device to ask Shui Ruo if they had completed the ogre extermination quest a second time, but decided against it. It was possible that they were completely focused at the moment, and him calling them could distract them. In that case, might as well keep the ball rolling and go see what the Forest of Bones is hiding. Ling Chen opened the quest page. The Forest of Bones quest directly transported the challengers to the quest location. After looking through the details a few times, Ling Chen decided to directly go there. The Forest of Bones was towards the southeast of the Azure Dragon City, and was very close to the sea. After being enveloped in a white light, Ling Chen appeared in the Forest of Bones. Before he was even able to have a good look at his surroundings, a dark and evil air swept towards him. This miasma was comparable to that of the ghastly grounds that he had just recently been to. This was the entrance of the Forest of Bones. Looking around, although this was a forest, Ling Chen could not see any grasses, only rocks. There was not a trace of life in this Forest of Bones. All that could be seen was literally a forest of white bones. Some of the bones were lying horizontal on the ground, some were upright and some were slanted. Some were intact, some were shattered. Some were even 10 or so meters long. The ground was completely covered with bones as far as the eye could see. Ling Chen was momentarily shocked. If all of these white bones were real, then how many creatures had died in order to create this horrendous forest of bones? Moreover, those bones that were 10 or so meters long, what sort of creature did they come from? At least, they definitely were not human bones. Ling Chen knew that he definitely was not the only player here. When he had arrived, there were already many players who were standing at the entrance. The reason was because players could be directly teleported to the site of the quest, rather than walking to the location like in the second quest. As such, there were many players crowded around the entrance, but with very few people brave enough to enter. The Skyfall Dynasty sent 50 elite 12-man teams in, but not a single one could last more than 10 minutes. Inside, there are many different types of skeleton monsters, they're all at least LV-20. There are white bones everywhere inside, so it's very easy to be ambushed by the skeleton monsters. This quest definitely can't be completed by any player of the current stage of the game. Nonsense. Since this quest appeared, it's definitely possible to clear. Don't forget, all you have to do is reach the heart of the forest to complete the quest, and you don't have to kill anything. If you see anything, just run. Holy shit. The 3 elite teams from the Yan Huang Alliance have also failed. The entrance to the Forest of Bones was unceasingly erupting with new information. Every player could only attempt the quest 3 times, and the death penalties of losing a level still applied if one died in the quest. However, the Forest of Bones quest was different to the first 2 quests. As soon as a player completed this quest, it would be closed to all other players. Even if another player reached the heart of the forest after the quest was completed, they would not receive the rewards for the quest. As such, players were all worried that the quest would be completed by someone else first, closing the quest off to them. However, up until now, the mighty teams of both the Yan Huang Alliance and Skyfall Dynasty were unable to even last for 10 minutes. Let alone the center region, they were not even able to pass through the outer regions. As such, the number of players who were brave enough to enter grew smaller and smaller. However, there were still many players struggling to decide whether they should enter or not. Inside, there were many skeleton monsters, and were all LV-20 or above. However, with Shi Ling present, Ling Chen could handle LV-30 monsters easily, let alone LV-20 monsters. He did not waste any time, and directly walked in, despite the many curious stares. What's going on? Did that guy just enter by himself? Could he be attempting this quest by himself? What a joke. He's obviously going to die. Ling Chen entering by himself caused many players to speak in condescension and derision. However, none of the people knew, the person who just entered was the player whose name had resounded across the whole world, Ling Tian. Ding, you have entered the dangerous region, Forest of Bones. Although it was still daytime, the dark miasma in the forest made it seem extremely gloomy and oppressive. Gusts of freezing cold wind occasionally blew past. The wind smelt of rotten flesh, and carried the sound of ghostly and blood-curdling cries. The Forest of Bones was entirely constructed from bones, even the trees were shaped out of bones. Looking forwards, there was nothing but bones, white bones. The ground was covered so thoroughly that there was not even a hint of green or yellow on the ground, and even the sky looked white from the light reflected from all of the white bones. The atmosphere in this place made Ling Chen feel extremely uncomfortable. He called out Shi Ling and Xiao Hui, and gripped the soaring cloud spear and zephyr blade in his hands, then slowly walked forwards. Ling Chen knew that his capabilities were far superior to other players, and he even had Shi Ling's terrifying strength. As such, although the environment was quite horrifying, it was in the end just a challenge for normal players, so it should not be too hard for him. What he did not expect was that what he was about to face was the cruelest and most challenging battle he had faced since he had entered the mystic moon world. Did you know? If all of our readers clicked just one adf.ly button every day, there would be at least one bonus chapter every week. Shura's devastation. It was once again the Shura's devastation. Ling Chen closed the map and looked forwards. The name, Shura, had long since been forgotten by mankind. After all, 10,000 years had passed. However, the effects he left on the forgotten continent were still present to this date. Being surrounded by white bones, it was difficult to navigate around without becoming lost. Ling Chen thought for a while, then said, Xiao Hui, lead the way, directly towards the heart of this forest. If it was navigation skills, there was no one superior to Xiao Hui. Without any complaint, Xiao Hui ran in front of Ling Chen and led him and Shi Ling forwards. There were no paths in the Forest of Bones, every step was taken upon countless bones. Walking on these bones was not comfortable at all. Due to Xiao Hui's light and nimble body, he was able to move with ease, but the same could not be said for Ling Chen, who was much larger. It would be even harder for Ling Chen to move around if he was using the cloud-stepping mare, so he decided to go by foot. The unsteady footing from the bones caused Ling Chen to advance much slower than he normally would, and he began to worry whether he would be able to reach his destination in 3 hours. After walking for about 100 meters, Xiao Hui suddenly stopped walking and gave a low bark. Ling Chen stopped as well, and looked around his surroundings, readying his weapons. A gust of dark and evil wind blew past, accompanied by creaking and clacking sounds. At this moment, the skulls around Ling Chen began to emit an eerie green glow from their eye sockets. Subsequently, the skulls began to float upwards, followed by various other types of bones. They began to combine together to create a complete skeleton. Ling Chen. Skeleton Soldier, Type, Undead, Level, 20, HP, 800. A type of skeleton that is controlled by a mysterious power. It does not have any consciousness of sentience, and will unceasingly attack living beings nearby. Its body is very durable and hard to damage. Abilities, very high defense, negates 40% of darkness damage. Attack skills, Claw, uses its claws to attack a single target. The attack speed is very slow, but the damage is very high. All of a sudden, 30 or so skeletons appeared around Ling Chen, all making creaking and clacking sounds as they rushed towards him. Being suddenly surrounded by many higher-leveled skeletons, it would be difficult for a normal 12-man team to even run. However, these skeletons were nothing to Ling Chen. He looked at the skeleton soldiers, then sent 2 Ling Tian bursts towards the nearest 3 skeleton soldiers. Bam bam bam. -829, -818, -830. The sound of the first Ling Tian burst hitting the skeletons sounded like it had hit solid rocks. After being hit by the first Ling Tian burst, the 3 skeleton soldiers were instantly killed. However, the damage numbers that floated above their heads caused Ling Chen to be extremely shocked. With his current attack power, only hitting around 800 damage meant that these skeleton soldiers had incredibly high defense. For players still around LV10 with their significantly worse equipment, they would not be able to deal any damage to these skeletons at all. That was Ling Chen's only opportunity to personally attack. Afterwards, fire began to rain down on the skeleton soldiers, creating a small sea of fire. Within the fire, terrifying damage numbers rose above the skeletons. -318783187831878318783187831878. The skeletons had extremely sturdy bodies, and had huge physical defense. However, apart from darkness, they had no resistance against any magical attack, especially fire. This was because all undead creatures were incredibly weak towards fire. As such, Shi Ling's flames caused double damage to the skeletons. Ling Chen looked at the damage numbers in the 30,000s in admiration and envy. A LV-13 attack pet that could deal tens of thousands of damage, this was a bit too big of a bug. With this pet present, he as the owner would not have any problems in this quest. After a wave of wild flames, the skeleton soldiers had all been wiped out, and became scattered bones on the ground again. Apart from the bones, there was nothing else left, not even a single coin. As such, there were no corpses for Xiao Hui to swallow and refine. As the quest had a time limit of 3 hours, Ling Chen did not stop and continued to walk behind Xiao Hui. On the way, many groups of skeleton soldiers appeared, but before they had time to even fully form, they were always destroyed by Shi Ling. These skeleton soldiers were designed to slow down the progress of normal players. Even if it was Ling Chen, it would cost him a lot of time to kill every wave of skeletons. However, with Shi Ling, he did not even pay attention to these skeletons. After half an hour, a system announcement sounded in Ling Chen's ear. "Ding, you have entered the 2nd district. Please proceed with care." There were even more bones here and the miasma was even worse. Ling Chen stopped for a moment, looked at his surroundings, then began to walk forwards quickly. However, after talking a few steps, a sense of foreboding hit him, and he instinctively jumped to the side. Slash! The bones underneath his feet split apart as a meter-long bone spike erupted out of the ground. Chatter chatter chatter, ghostly laughter sounded in Ling Chen's ear. He looked up, and saw many floating shadows dressed in white cloaks. Their white skulls were exposed and were holding black sickles. Ghost skeleton, type, undead, level, 20, HP, 700. A type of undead created from the evil air mixing with the skeleton body. It has the horrifying ability to take away a life in a split second. Abilities: negates 40% of darkness damage, attacks have a 1% chance to instantly kill the target with normal attacks. Attack skill: deathly bone spike, summon bone spikes to attack the target from any direction, dealing magic damage. Being hit by the bone spike has a 2% chance of instant death. The skeletons in the 2nd district were also LV-20 monsters, but were evidently much more terrifying and powerful than those in the 1st district. No matter if it was the instant death passive skill, or their floating ability, they were much harder to deal with than the skeleton soldiers. Chatter chatter chatter, hee-hey. The ghostly skeletons let out their creepy laughs again, and swung their scythes towards him. In just a moment, there were more than 10 scythes swinging towards him from all directions. Ling Chen jumped and somersaulted in various directions, dodging the scythes. He called out in a low voice, "Shi Ling." Hearing his call, Shi Ling unleashed a wave of wild flames. Not only could the wild flames burn on the ground, but they could also be controlled to stay in the air. Being covered in the wild flames, the ghost skeletons in the air were all incinerated. The 10 or so ghost skeletons dropped down from the air and became a pile of bones. Their black sickles also disappeared. Ling Chen let out a breath of relief. Suddenly, the ghostly laughter came ringing again. Ling Chen abruptly looked up. In the air, there were another 20 or so shadows hovering in the air. The place where they had appeared was right where Shi Ling was. Although Shi Ling had extraordinary attack power, her defense and HP were both extremely low. If she was attacked by a large mob of monsters, she would be in grave danger. Normally, when she was destroying monsters on the ground, Ling Chen was not concerned at all. However, these ghost skeletons were able to fly, and had long-ranged attacks. Shi Ling, get out of there immediately. By the time Ling Chen had called out towards Shi Ling, many black sickles were already raised, slicing towards Shi Ling's body. Shi Ling turned, giving a loud cry, and unleashed a large fireball towards the ghost skeletons. Wild Flames had a 5-second cooldown, so she had used one of her basic attacks. However, despite the fact that it was a basic attack, it still had a 5 meters AoE. -151801518015180. The 3 ghost skeletons closest to Shi Ling were instantly incinerated. The remaining ghost skeletons seemed to fully realize just how powerful Shi Ling was, and decided to shoot bone spikes at her. Shi Ling spread her wings, then agilely dodged every bone spike. As soon as the 5-second cooldown for Wild Flames had passed, another wave of Wild Flames burst forth, wiping out the remaining ghost skeletons. If you enjoy reading Shura's Wrath, please consider whitelisting our site, ChinaNovel.net, on your ad block. The ads aren't intrusive at all. The ad revenue helps us maintain the site and continue to provide even more translations for you guys. Ha 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 ha, the arrogant and booming laughter was extremely unpleasant. The giant skeleton turned in the smoke, and a giant black scythe appeared in its hand. It then abruptly vanished, then appeared high up in the sky. Soul Reaper, Type, Undead, Level, 20, Grade, Lord, HP, 200,000. A giant skeleton containing large amounts of darkness energy. Although it cannot physically attack, it can greatly disturb a living creature's spirit, allowing it to steal the target's life in a split second. Abilities: can float up to 10 meters high in the air, 50% resistance to darkness attacks. Immune to confusion, sleep and instant death statuses. Attack skills: Undead Teleportation. Soul Reaper can blink to a location on the ground or in the air. The maximum distance is 5 meters, and has a cooldown of 3 seconds before it can be used again. Ghostly Echo unleashes a ghostly echo, causing undead monsters within a 30-meter radius to increase their magic attack power and speed by 20%. It also causes the magic attack power and speed of all living creatures within 30 meters to decrease by 20%. The effects last for 30 seconds. Cooldown, 60 seconds. Soul Curse, using sounds filled with darkness energy, attacks the target's soul. It causes a single target to have a 100% chance of falling into the sleep status for at least 10 seconds. Cooldown, 10 seconds. Soul Reap, uses undead power to attempt to steal a single target's life. Does no damage, but has a 30% chance to instantly kill the target. Cooldown, 10 seconds. Covering such a large area, how would it be possible for the Forest of Bones to not have at least a boss of the Lord grade? The gigantic skeleton with such a domineering aura in front of him was actually a Lord grade undead monster. Although it did not have any physical attacks, it could buff its allies and debuff its enemies within a wide area. Moreover, it had a 100% chance to cause target to fall into the sleep status, as well as a 30% chance to cause instant death. It had to be immediately taken care of. By the time Ling Chen had taken out his weapons, he found that the Soul Reaper was already floating 10 meters in the air. With this sort of distance, it was very difficult for him to hit it. Chatter chatter, ha ha ha, ghostly laughter sounded out from around him. In just a moment, ghost skeletons began to appear one by one, slowly blocking out the sky. Soon, there were more than 100 ghost skeletons in the sky. Ling Chen remained calm. If he was completely surrounded by these ghost skeletons, it would be very difficult for him to escape, given that there was also the Lord Boss Soul Reaper. Moreover, these ghost skeletons had all appeared around Xi Ling, putting her in a very dangerous position. Xi Ling. Immediately destroy them. As Ling Chen shouted, Xi Ling was already unleashing a wave of wild flames. Within the flames, many ghost skeletons nearby were incinerated without even having the chance to attack. The Soul Reaper was also caught in the flames. After giving a pitiful cry, 31,378 damage figure rose above its head. The Soul Reaper was at once enraged, and its hatred was transferred from Ling Chen to Xi Ling. It gave a roar, and used its ghostly echo skill. Instantly, the nearby ghost skeletons burst into action, charging straight towards Xi Ling. These ghost skeletons were all floating at least 10 meters high in the air, so Ling Chen could do nothing about them. Moreover, though he wanted to send Xi Ling back to the pet dimension, this was not possible, as pets could not be recalled while in battle. Thus, Ling Chen could only leave things to Xi Ling. Although she could not immediately use wild flames again, her normal fire attacks were still incredibly terrifying to these ghost skeletons. As she attacked, the number of surrounding ghost skeletons began to slowly diminish. After flapping her wings twice, 2 fireballs caused 10 or so nearby ghost skeletons to be burnt to crisp. Afterwards, Xi Ling gave a piercing cry and a red ray of light shot down from the sky, and precisely entered the Soul Reaper's body. Red laser. -83,490. A damage number that nearly hit the 100,000s reduced the Soul Reaper's HP to less than half, causing it to let out another cry of rage. Under its cloak, its eyes glowed with a horrifying green light. A cluster of black fog gathered on its black scythe, and turned into a ball of darkness energy the size of a small fist. At this moment, Xi Ling's cooldown for wild flames had also expired. She flapped her wings, and a large wave of flames burst forth, enveloping the Soul Reader and the remaining ghost skeletons. At the same time, the ball of darkness energy shot toward Xi Ling. With Xiao Hui's Eye of the Holy Spirit, the information regarding the ball of darkness energy was transmitted to Ling Chen's mind. He immediately yelled, "Xi Ling, dodge it." The crimson flames enveloped the 20 or so ghost skeletons in the sky, destroying them instantly. It once again reduced by the Soul Reaper's HP by more than 30,000. However, the ball of darkness passed through the flames, heading straight towards Xi Ling. Although the speed of the ball of darkness was not fast, Xi Ling had just finished releasing the wild flames, and could not move momentarily. Even if she heard Ling Chen's shout, she had no way to dodge the attack, and was hit directly by the ball of darkness. That ball of darkness was the Soul Reaper's most terrifying skill, Soul Reap, a move that had a 30% chance to instantly kill the target. After Xi Ling had become a pet, she had not gained any resistance to any elements other than fire. Ling Chen could only watch as Xi Ling was hit by the Soul Reaper's skill, and prayed that Xi Ling's luck wasn't that bad. However, what resulted, was what he did not want to see the most. After hitting Xi Ling, the ball of darkness energy exploded, and a grey fog spread over Xi Ling's body. Ding, your pet, Xi Ling, has been affected by the instant death status, and is now dead. Ling Chen. No way. After being hit once? After Xi Ling's last wild flames attack, a mass of bones rained down from the sky. Out of the 100 or so skeletons in the sky, only a Soul Reaper with 1/4 of its HP remaining was left. Xi Ling's body, covered by a dark grey light, also plummeted down from the sky. While falling, a crimson flame began to burn on her body. Within the flames, her HP, which had been reduced to 0, slowly began to rise. Her body then became a red ray of light and returned to Ling Chen's pet dimension. Ding, Your pet, Shi Ling's 9 Suns Rebirth has activated, and has been revived without any penalty. However, it cannot be summoned within the next hour. Although Shi Ling had very low defense and HP, she had a powerful reviving skill, the 9 Suns Rebirth. This was an unbelievable skill that could allow her to revive an unlimited number of times. However, this was not as good as it sounded, as every time Shi Ling revived, she would not be able to fight for at least 1 hour. Ling Chen looked up and stared at the Soul Reaper. Shi Ling, have a good rest. This is also good, I can't always be relying on you. The rest of this Forest of Bones quest, I'll rely on my own power. The Soul Reaper now had around 50,000 HP. Without any allies, its power was reduced significantly, as its ghostly echo would not be as effective. Thus, the only way it could kill Ling Chen was through the instant death skill, Soul Reap. As it hovered in the air, it let out eerie cries. Once the cooldown expired, a ball of darkness, similar to the one that had killed Shi Ling, once again appeared in its hands, and shot towards Ling Chen. Although the Soul Reap attack was able to hit Shi Ling, its speed was far from enough to hit Ling Chen. Despite this, Ling Chen did not even bother looking at it, and did not dodge, allowing the ball of darkness to hit him. If it was the Soul Curse skill that had a 100% chance to put him in the sleep status, he would have dodged it, but the Soul Reap skill was useless on him. This was because his lunar scourge was fitted with a darkness crystal, undead crystal, from the ghastly grounds, which made him immune to darkness, curse and instant death status effects. TLN, see Chapter 98, Bang. The ball of darkness exploded, and the grey light scattered, but Ling Chen was not affected at all. Ling Chen did not want to waste any time, and said in a low voice, "All right, time for me to attack." He turned and raised his left hand, and used Soaring Cloud's skill, shooting Soaring Cloud, sending the spear flying towards the Soul Reaper. With 10 meters between them, as well as the spear's speed of a meteor and Ling Chen's precise aim, the Soul Reaper had no chance to dodge. Get down here. Pang! Minus 2,415. As expected, Soaring Cloud pierced through the Soul Reaper, causing the Soul Reaper to fall down from the sky. Ling Chen charged forwards, and before it had even reached the ground, Soul Sacrifice was already activated. With his attack sharply raised, Ling Chen then activated Moon Shadow, locking the Soul Reaper's body in place. He caught the Soaring Cloud spear as it fell from the Soul Reaper's mouth, and continuously used Ling Tian slash. -70357421702214062. The Soul Reaper's defense was far inferior to even the normal skeleton soldiers. Under Ling Chen's enhanced attacks from both weapons, its HP had been completely cleared out before Moon Shadow's effect expired. The corpse hit the ground, and became a pile of bones.